Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
I was about to open up my mouth and talk and not realize that I was on mute. Hi, happy Monday. Why does he do this? Sorry, guys. Well, my father's calling me. He didn't realize I was doing the show. Hi, happy Monday. Well, I guess we could say it's Man Up Monday. Judge Joe Brown should be coming on any minute. I know it's no sound because I muted myself because my phone was ringing. I sent him the link over 10 minutes ago and I said, log on early. He think he doesn't have Pony Express Wi-Fi and he does. But you can't tell him nothing. He has an excuse for everything. So yeah, he should be coming up. It should be any second. Because I said, listen, we have Mr. Mario, the lawyer who was here, LA Pink, they're coming up at 9:30. And there's a couple of topics I want to get in before then. This is why it's important to start on time. Log on. Please hit the like button. Please share this video. Yeah, she turned it back on. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. And hello to everybody on X. My X listeners. Hi guys. Please repost this on X. And you guys on YouTube, please share on all of your social media outlets. And the same with X people as well. And like, thumbs up, thumbs up. Now, I usually send out the show link to everyone on the mailing list on the website, but for some reason, Wix is down. And I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the problem is with Wix. Don't play with me. Summertime is starting. This is like the heat battle of the elections. Don't play with me, Biden administration. Don't play with me, Democrats. I believe in free speech and freedom of press. Honey, I will file a lawsuit quick. So Wix is down. So I could not post this on Wix or send it on, post it on the blog or email list because Wix is down all of a sudden. Talking about something, they fixing some things. Honey, I think everything is about me sometimes because I'm like, oh, I know it's because of the show and it's the judge, blah, 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 blah. But whatever. So yeah, I'm trying not to get an attitude because I told this man log on early. And the reason why I always tell him to log on early is because it's still going to take him a while to log on. For him to log on early, that means he'll be here on time. It doesn't mean he's going to be here early and sit and wait in queue. If the judge logs on early, that means we can start on time. If he logs on at 9 o'clock when the show starts, that means the show is going to start late. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, honey. He enjoyed his day because he wanted to barbecue. Happy belated Father's Day. He cooked. I ain't cooked nothing, and I was not going to. I told him, I said, I was going to take you to breakfast or dinner or whatever. He was like, well, his brother, my uncle, he was like, Lester's coming over. Whatever. I said, well, I can take him too. He was like, well, the restaurants be crowded. I said, no, the restaurants are only crowded on Mother's Day. It's a regular Sunday on Father's Day when you go to restaurants. It's no wait, it's no lines, it's no, it's no reservations. No, nothing is crowded when we talk about outings on Father's Day. But he wanted to barbecue, so he barbecued and they sat outside talking, so he had fun. Honey, did y'all watch House of Dragons? Yes, did y'all watch House of Dragons? Oh my God. Yo, I hate this. I really do. I wish I could get a beef patty. I know that food was good. House of Dragons is the bomb. Eating barbecue makes you slow. It does. Slow like you got the itis slow. Slow like Judge Joe Brown slow and his Wi-Fi slow.
Yeah.
That's that type of slow. That eating barbecue sauce make you that slow. The Pony Express
No, it
Wi-Fi slow.
doesn't.
When I
It's
specifically
called
said for
no.
you to log in early.
Yeah, well, it was no signal, so I couldn't log in. It was just saying connector not responding. Webs, whatever that is, was not responding. So anyway, takes time.
Sam said, what's House of Dragons? Sam, don't play with me. If you ever heard of Game of Thrones, then you heard of House of Dragons.
What
And if
is
you
it?
never heard of Game
100
of Thrones,
and
then honey, I can't help you. You need to
what
go
is
see
it?
a therapist.
What is it? 150 years before Game of Thrones.
Yes, even you know, and you don't even watch TV.
Well, I told you about it.
No, you did not, honey.
Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, you did.
Because I watched Game of Thrones.
You did. I watched it too. I got very upset with the ending when Mother of Dragons got killed off by the King of the North, which was supposed to be the dynasty, and they gave it to that little crippled, sick puppy who had all the visions and was about to do nothing but let the whole thing drift into hell, which is apparently what happened. And they never did do one thing in the whole damn series, which is
Sam, what watched Game of Thrones? Oh my God!
What planet were they on, and how did they get there? Because they weren't on Earth.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, where were they?
They were on Earth.
No, they weren't. We don't have a winter that lasts several hundred years, and we don't have a summer that lasts several hundred years. See, that was the whole thing. No, I'm talking about the whole thing north of the wall and all of that mess laid out in the books. It wasn't on Earth, but they never told us where it was. And
you read the book? No,
I did. I went into some of it.
It's not one book; it's a series.
I know it's a series. So what
you did not read Game of
Thrones? I read some of it, and I was looking at the series, and I just said, "Let me watch that," because the book and the series weren't the same. What the deal is they're on some planet and they forgot they came from Earth and how they got there. So they've got these
the same thing.
Yeah, they have these century-long winters, and they keep talking all through the Game of Thrones about the winters coming on, the winters coming on.
This is going to be the longest winter.
Yeah, and they haven't gotten there yet. Even when the story is over, it's just those zombie things up north are still beginning to lurk, and all of the rest of the things that go on. So in the stories, you've got generations that last through a springtime, a summer, a fall, and these folk are in kind of their fall for generations, and then they get into winter. So that's not Earth. So where are they? And the other thing is too, we don't have real dragons here, and we don't have some of the other things here, like those zombies north of the wall. So where are they? And on the book, the implication is that they came from Earth, but they forgot that, and it's a long time ago, and they had a bad setback, and they're recapitulating Earth's history, going through a long medieval period, feudalism and such like.
I see some people subscribe, so I guess y'all could go to the website. I couldn't even go to my website, so I guess the website is up. But anyway, thank you for your dissertation and your inquiry into filling us in that Game of Thrones was not taking place on Earth centuries ago. Thank you. But either way, I'm Team Black when it comes to House of Dragon. So all right, let's get into the show. And what was that beeping in the background? Was that your fire alarm?
No, it's not. It's a damaged refrigerator.
You got too many issues going on.
I know. Shit breaks down. Used to have refrigerators last 25, 30 years. This damn thing I got 11 years ago and it's broken down.
All right,
got another one out here in the laundry room, but this one is making all this noise. Ricky and I had to track this damn thing down to find out what it was.
So the the governor of Maryland, he just pardoned 170,000.
That's not the first state for that to happen. It's going on around the country.
I'm sorry, can I introduce the story?
Go ahead.
The governor of Maryland, Governor Wes, he pardoned over 170,000 convicts on marijuana and drug paraphernalia convictions. So I want to play this clip.
Maryland's
one
governor
caveat.
Today pardoned more than
nobody's getting out of prison that's in prison for these sentences, and all of these people have already served their time, so it's basically cleaning up their records. So the agreement is they weren't going to prosecute any further, and they haven't for the last couple of years. So there are no new convictions. These are just people that have already been through their sentences who are getting pardoned. So they got a number there where everybody who feels that they may have been left out or where you want to check, you can get added to the list. So go ahead.
175,000 marijuana convictions. Democratic Governor Wes Moore signed the executive order this morning forgiving all individuals in the state with misdemeanor convictions for the possession of marijuana or drug paraphernalia. This is the largest state pardon to date, according to his administration. Skyler Henry is in Washington. Skyler, great to see you. I know you spoke with the governor. What other details should we know about today's historic action out of Maryland?
Hey, Weisha, good to see you. Yeah, this really targets some 175,000+ convictions that the governor said that he wanted to address, lower level marijuana convictions that he ultimately came out to say were impacting generations of people as far as how they move with everything from job applications to rental applications and so many things that have happened in their everyday life. And so now we know that this pardon will now address some 100,000 Marylanders, if not a bit more than that, particularly in areas that have Black and brown or more Black and brown communities. We're talking about Baltimore City, Prince George's County in Maryland, and elsewhere. When you break down the numbers, this is something that the governor, as well as those within his administration, have said that they want to continue to work on in various capacities, especially considering that these convictions really stay on people's records for some time now. And so as for how this will all work, we know that there is an electronic docket that will exist for every individual that has this conviction on their record. They say that it will be reflected as far as the pardon within the next couple of weeks. And then ultimately they will be able to get that second chance. We talked to the governor about why now? Why is it so important to actually have this happen in this moment? He said that for far too long, this disparity, if you will, this gap, if you will, especially as it relates to race, has existed, particularly in the state of Maryland. And so now he's hoping to be a torchbearer, if you will, as far as the state, hoping that other states will follow. Remember, Weijia, you know this all too well. President Biden did something similar on the federal level a couple of years ago. So the governor looking to follow suit.
And Skyler, you also asked the governor to weigh in on the Maryland Senate race, in which his
What'd you say, Judge?
Translation is political bullshit because they're running scared. And the other thing is Mosley, who just got house arrest for some crimes of moral turpitude against the feds. When she was the DA, she did absolutely nothing about the circumstance that 25% of these convictions came out of Baltimore. So these people have already done their time. And since it's still a Schedule 1 for the federal drug schedule, what winds up happening is you still can't buy a handgun legally if you've got this because you've got a drug conviction and it doesn't expunge it as far as the feds are concerned. Next thing, what they're talking about in Maryland is a move afoot to drop it to a Schedule 3, such as some of the antihistamine possessing versions of Tylenol and stuff like that, and anabolic steroids and that kind of thing. So Schedule 1 means there's no redeeming virtue to the drug in question, which is still the schedule for the federal system. My general observation is it's fine. I think it needs to be decriminalized, but celebrating it, no, I'm not, because what we have is a lot of lazy sit on your ass, get high, and play vid game types who are not getting jobs and to deal with a drug that makes them a little bit more lethargic and absent-minded than usual. That's not a good thing. So I'm not impressed. But anyway.
So you're saying that only thing it's going to do is just allow people who are smoking marijuana just continue to be lazy.
Yeah, that's basically what it is, because most of the busts that you get are interesting. I watch these things because I used to be representing or presiding over for years. And it's like you drive through certain communities and it's illegal, but they're out there smoking a joint on the corner. Or it's illegal and they're sitting on the front porch smoking a joint. Or it's illegal and they're riding 4 deep through upscale residential area with one tail light out and registration 2 months out of date, and everybody's smoking a joint, 3 or 4 going at the same time in the car and whining because they got the music playing so you can share it from 4 blocks away. And it's kind of sort of, hey, get good sense. You put yourself in a situation, they just pick it on me. No, fool. You were in a place where the houses were upscale. People have to get up and go to work. It's Thursday night. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and they can hear your music from 3 blocks away, and you just cruising because you feel like you're not going to run into the police. So instead of going someplace, you're out there getting high on the street. You just ran through 2 red lights, and of course the cops pull your dumb ass over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not picking on you. That's supposed to stop you. But anyway, it is what it is. So
it is a political move. And listen, if it would help people who have been incarcerated to get a job or, you know, have less red tape, that's a good thing. But I kind of do agree with you because, you know, to a certain degree, marijuana should not really be legal for recreational use because it's making younger people, what do you call it, lethargic?
Lethargic. And I had my first wife. When I met her in her 20s, she was a heavy spot smoker. She retired 66 years old. She wasn't making any more money 35 years after I met her than she was when I met her. And she was a pot smoking, lazy somebody her whole damn life and still is. So, yeah, I saw it up close and personal. That's why I didn't stay with her but so long.
The first
Gotta
one.
go. First one.
Sidebar, is your hat for sale?
I just got it today.
Oh, that's somebody else's company.
Yeah, you just go in and they charge you $25 to put this on. So it's a sized hat.
Wait, but is that your merch?
No, it's not. Ricky and I just went in and she got one that says Ricky on the front, and I got Judge Joe.
That's a personal hat. Well, I have to start getting your merch. You have to get some merch. I have to start getting you some.
Yeah, I just had this done. The hat was $24.95 and this was $25, so I got several of them. Okay. Red, gray, and tan. No, I wanted a dark brown when they didn't have them in my size. See, it's size, not that one size fits all.
Right. No. They was asking in the chat. So, you know what? I would say by the end of the summer, I'm gonna make sure the judge has some merchandise for you guys to purchase.
Well, yeah. Come to think of it.
Yeah, and honey, can you just can you unplug that refrigerator? Because I can't go.
I can't unplug it because there's food in it.
So it's not going to spoil you in 2 hours. It's not.
I can't unplug it because it weighs how many 100 pounds, and I have to slide it out of an alcove to get to the plug behind it. And I ain't as strong as I used to.
So I got to sit through that buzzard.
I'm annoyed by the damn thing. I wish I could shut it off. I've been trying to, but I don't have a hand cart to get this thing lifted up. It's in an alcove, so it's about this much space on each side, and I'd have to be able to drag this 500-pound, 600-pound item out of the wall to unplug it.
All right. Well, I see.
So I called a repairman to come out and see about it, but you know.
All right. I see Mr. Williams, Esquire. I don't see LA Pink, but I'm just going to go ahead and bring him up.
And there's an interesting story about why it hasn't been finished repaired. The guy that was my handyman, real reliable guy, but this year his son, 36 years old, got shot to death. Somebody was pulling off a holdup, so he's been a little distracted, shall we say.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Williams. Can you hear us? Oh, it looks like he's frozen.
No, he moved.
He moved now.
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me? Testing. Now he's frozen.
I'm frozen.
I told you. Yeah, there's problems with us. They don't want us to be broadcast. Let me go see if I can try something with this thing. Hold on.
Mr. Williams, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, now I can. Yeah, okay. So it was like your freeze up, and then it was going in and out. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the judge could do something with his refrigerators, something. Let me mute his mic. All right, let me remove. I'll bring him back on. Give us a second. Oh, speaking of super chats, yes, guys, if you have a question or a comment, please send it via super chat. Support the machine. Yes, support. Thank you, Felix. Let me put this here. Get some Cerveza in that fridge. Bless you all. What is Cerveza? Thank you, Felix. But what is that? What is Cerveza? I have no idea.
Unmute me.
I did.
Cervezas. Beer.
Cerveza.
Beer.
Oh, beer. Well, what?
Yes, cervezas.
Okay. I don't know what happened to Mr. Williams, honey. He walked off. Like I guess he thought that we weren't like live, but I know he's gonna give us an update of what's going on in Fulton County. And I do want to mention the YSL trial as well.
I can hear you. I can talk. Let me work on this a little more. Keep talking. I hear you.
Even though it looks unprofessional when you get up and walk off on the screen.
Well, it'll have to be unprofessional.
It's unprofessional that we have, you know how people have the fire a fire alarm and they ain't changed the battery and it keeps beeping. That's what
I know.
Yeah. And there you go.
I'm here.
Were you there the whole time?
Yeah.
I didn't see you. It looked like
you put me back in the back room.
I put you backstage because it looked like you walked you got from your seat.
I stood up, but I didn't. I just stood up. That's all.
Really? No, it showed that you wasn't there. I don't know what is going on. We have a smoke detector, ghetto smoke detector in Judge Brown house.
I don't have a smoke detector. That's a refrigerator.
Mario, your connection is going in and out.
My Wi-Fi is full power though.
I know. It's like you're frozen on the screen right now.
Like right now?
Yeah.
Like you can't see me moving my hand? Because I can see myself moving my hand.
Nope. That means you must be doing your job.
Yeah, I can. I'm waving at you right now. I can see myself waving.
No, I just see the picture is just switched to an ether cable. Who, me or them? Because I do need an ether cable. I think I have one, but I do need an ether cable. So maybe that will help when other people come on. I'm not sure. But can you introduce yourself, Mr. Mario Williams?
I'm Mario Williams. I have a law firm, Humanity, Dignity, and Rights, HDR LLC. I'm Georgia. I'm licensed to practice in Georgia, Virginia, and New York, and I practice around the country in federal courts on what they call special admission.
Okay. Can you just do me one favor? Okay, now you're not frozen. Would you mind going out and coming back in?
Okay, how do I do that?
All right. You don't know. I think it's
you just want me to exit. You just want me to exit the whole program?
Yeah, and then come back in. I think that will help. Okay. And okay, Ellie Pink. Hi, how are you?
Hi, y'all. I am beyond excellent.
You
yeah.
coming up here way too much. I think you looked twice last week, this week.
Man, it's always something going on.
That's much better.
I did it. You see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Fulton County, it's a lot going on, out of Fannie Willis office.
There is.
All right. So, who wants to go first? Can you give us an update on what's going on?
So, basically, in Georgia, citizen, if they have enough facts and details, can seek a probable cause warrant hearing against a law enforcement official or any government official. The difference is generally when a citizen has a conflict with another citizen, they would have to go to magistrate court. In Georgia, if you do it against a law enforcement official, you have to go to superior court, and there's different safeguards before they would actually grant a hearing of this magnitude. Well, L.A. Pink decided that she wanted to pursue this because in a situation, and it's a lot to be said that she's gotten as far as she's gotten, because this situation involves the Sheriff Labat. And what he did was he got really upset that L.A. Pink, a former advocate for him and actually helped him get elected, decided that she didn't like the way he was running his show. She felt that there was corruption and different things like that, standard stuff that you could accuse somebody of if you felt that you had the facts for it. So Labat sought what they call a temporary protective order. And that is a restraining order. Most people know it as a restraining order. And he got it granted. And then a hearing was set for L.A. Pink to come in and see if the temporary protective order would extend out for an amount of time. People who don't understand how that works is that if it's ex parte granted, it's sent to local law enforcement officials, and L.A. Pink is subject to arrest. So she found out just by happenstance, because she has a lot of friends in this city, and said, hey, I don't know if you know this, but Sheriff Labat actually got a temporary protective order against you. She got a hold of it, read it, and it said in there that she had been warned to stop, but she continued to tag Sheriff Labat and his wife daily. So she said, Mara, this is completely untrue. I don't tag this guy at all. You know, I've never tagged him or anything like that. I don't know where he's getting this from. So she went, he got scared. He dismissed the protective order. He had it dismissed. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you now and hear you. Yes.
You there? Is everybody there?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you can't see us.
Okay. Did you hear me?
Yes, we heard you.
Did you hear when I say he got it dismissed?
Yes.
So he dismisses it out of fear. So LA Pink comes to me and I said, well, the one thing that we have to put this in context, because real world experiences kind of help people understand. I said every year, and I know this, Georgia residents are subject to criminal prosecution for making false statements on government documents. Think welfare applications, think government beneficiary documents. So Georgia actually has multiple laws, 3 in particular, that say, 1, if you know or have reason to know that the contents of a document are false and you the one who falsified them, and it's a government record, you can subject yourself to criminal penalty. 2, if you take that document that you have reason to know contains false information and then you file it in a court, then you compounded the problem and you subject yourself to criminal penalties. And 3, if you cause a report known to contain false evidence to be distributed to police against somebody, you subject yourself to criminal penalty. Well, Labat in this case met all 3 of those criteria. So LA Pink sought in the Superior Court of Georgia to have a hearing about these charges, and they granted it to her. And that's a big deal because typically, you know, the Superior Court judge is going to review it, say there's nothing here, and dismiss it and say, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to give a hearing against a public official, especially one of this nature, a sheriff of the largest county in the state. So now the hearing was set. There was some confusion because all the judges recused themselves from Fulton County because it's the sheriff of Fulton County. So it's going to get reset for another, I think it's about a week or 2 out. In the meantime, LA Pink went and got a social media review and report of all her Instagram and Facebook. And it's exactly what she said. She just simply did not tag this man. So he has an issue. He has a real issue in front of him.
And so what?
One remark that I have to make, I looked at the document and it's filed in what is styled a domestic violence court. And this has absolutely nothing to do with
all.
Even what he alleges.
That's right.
That's got to do with something else, stalking, not domestic violence. So he ought to know better, but he files it in the wrong court. He falsifies the documents. So that, I think, may have something to do with what's going on in terms of the courts looking at it. And it would also, to me, amplify any consequential civil damages that would come out of the whole thing because it's knowingly filed in the wrong court.
Well, Your Honor, you hit a point exactly. Now, one issue is, will he have charges brought against him for falsifying the document and filing it in the court, and on top of that, the wrong court? The other issue is a classic, and I mean classic, civil rights case of First Amendment retaliation. LA Pink simply voicing her discontent with his management style and him as a sheriff, and then in what I call an extremely weak-minded and petty move, tries to ruin her life by getting her arrested and putting a restraining order on her just because he's dissatisfied, because he said it and you have to always remember, he tried to blame his lawyer. But the thing about these TPOs is that the person who's actually seeking the stalking TPO has to actually swear that the contents are true and accurate. And he did it in his own capacity as Patrick Labat.
And didn't he fill it out in his own handwriting, as sloppy as it was?
The verification.
There's another thing too, abuse of process for purposes of abusing your client's civil rights, which are the exercise of her First Amendment rights. He is a public official, New York Times versus Sullivan. Even if you take what he accuses her of, which is false, you deal with what the real issue, she's been exposing him. That's her right as a citizen to do that. That's commentary on political representation. So he's way out of line. That's
why I say he's weak. He's weak
Yeah.
because I was an elected official. I got called all kind of names, communist, this, that, and the other. And you know, you just have to take it. And then people who did this to me are people who voted for me again. It's just, you know, people just have opinions. You know, you can't, if you're going to run for elected office and you're so thin-skinned that if somebody tries to expose you for what they think is corruption, you're going to go try to get them falsely arrested by making false statements as the sheriff. You don't need to be in office.
I just want to say this one thing, because I want people to know that, yes, Mr. Mario Williams and Ellie Pink have been on here several times. And the reason why I want them to keep coming on is to expose the corruption that is going on in Fulton County. This is an election season, and it's very important that people understand, us, the people, that we do have rights, you know, and you have people in these positions of power try to intimidate citizens. So it is exposing the corruption because they're not doing their job, and they're taking advantage of not just taxpayers' job, but the votes and people rights. And it's just a lot of, I think, corruption that has been going on for far too long.
Absolutely.
Well, this is what I'll tell you too, you know, because he made this extremely personal. And what I tell people in the political arena is that, look, and this goes across the board for a lot of what's going on in the country, and you have your own personal opinions about it, but this is the fact of the matter. You have to separate the motive for somebody bringing around a potential wrongdoing for whether, as a government official, you actually engaged in that wrongdoing. There's lots of, for Fani's a good example of this. She keeps throwing out the race thing. And I don't know if race or anything, to me, it has nothing to do with it. But but you got to separate. You're in a political arena. If your opponent finds out or believes that you engaged in unlawful conduct, it doesn't matter about the motive that they brought it to light with. What the real issue is did you engage in the unlawful conduct? And then we have to see, okay, is this petty? Should this have happened? Or, hey, man, that is a serious crime. Misappropriation of government funds is serious. So don't try to distract us for why the person said it about you. Try to confront the issue of, did you do it or not?
Yeah.
Why do you think judgment?
That's also one of the problems here with violation of your client's civil rights, in that it was attempting to suppress revelation of wrongdoing. By the way, this is an interesting example. They got Trump for supposedly paying hush money. See, this is a crime that he allegedly has dealt with, misappropriation of public funds. Right. If he, say, paid L.A. Pink, Miss Pink, money to stay quiet so she wouldn't reveal it, that would be the crime of hush money payment. If there was nothing that she was concealing by getting hushed, then it would be blackmail. That is an example, an exemplar here. She's got something on him that is criminal and civil wrongdoing, and she won't be quiet. So he decides to utilize process to keep her quiet. That's abuse of process. I don't know in Georgia, but it's actionable in a whole lot of other states.
It is. And that's what I encourage people to do before they even take positions is this, really think about what people are doing to distract you from their own personal liability. And so with Sheriff Labat, he's claiming tagging this and it's personal. None of that matters, man. You lied on a government record. That's what we're alleging here, that you made a false statement on a government record, and you're a public official, the sheriff no less, and you should be held accountable for it. And I'm going to tell you what the real deal is here. What really happens with people like Fani, the sheriff and district attorneys and people of a lot of authority and power. So what happens is somebody, because a lot of people look at such stuff like what happened to L.A. Pink and what happened to Amanda, and they'll be like, man, that's a lot of nerve to do something like that. Put a false statement, try to get somebody arrested, fire somebody on the day they report you to a government agency. But here's the problem. They're not thinking criminal. With Fani and all these public officials thinking, hey, I got an army of attorneys It's called the AG's office, the Attorney General. Or I got the district county attorneys to back me, and I got insurance money. So I don't care. I'm gonna fire you and then make it their problem, because that's what they're there for, is to go to the AG's office or go to the district court attorney's office. They have insurance money. They will defend me. If I get out on qualified immunity, I win. If I don't, they pay it out of insurance money. It never comes out of my pocket. But here's the difference. When you start taking magistrate probable cause arrest warrants out, the AG's not coming to help you, because they can't. It's a conflict of interest and it's ethics. The district attorney's office is not coming to help you. You got to show up as Patrick Labat. And if anything happens, it's going to happen to Patrick Labat. And so a message is being sent that, hey, look, you're not always going to be able to hide behind a civil lawsuit and go get the state attorneys to protect you. And then if you lose, you get paid out by the insurance money, the premiums go up, but you never spend a penny of your own money.
And then you get represented by a publicly paid attorney. That's
right.
Not right. And
That's
see,
right.
the other thing, what is it?
Yep.
First Amendment right to petition for redress of grievance, which is malfeasance. Bottom line is, he interfered with that and attempted to suppress it. That's actionable and way outside of his job description.
That's right.
So bust is behind. It's criminal.
I have a question. You said insurance. What insurance pays for? Can you elaborate on that?
So what happens is the county has insurance on every individual in the county, especially law enforcement officers.
Yeah, bond insurance.
So when say a cop shoots somebody, and you prove, and then a civil lawsuit is done, there's insurance up to a certain amount. It might be $1 million, $5 million, whatever. There's insurance. So even though you're suing the law enforcement officer, the jury typically never understands this. That law enforcement officer is not paying anything. He's going to pay up to the insurance amount, because typically a case will settle within insurance policy limits. So, but on criminal cases, or let's say, and this is another thing that catches people, while you're out there saying, hey, he shot and murdered this child, which everybody believes in certain instances. But if the district attorney really did their job, and this is a choice that families always end up being confronted with that they don't understand initially, if it is proven that the officer committed murder or some criminal act, insurance doesn't cover intentional criminal acts. So you win in the sense of, and I believe in this, holding the officer liable criminally for doing something that was criminal, but you might not get paid on the other end for the death.
So when you talk about a Ben Crump,
you mentioned him. Go ahead.
This is why he doesn't criminally what do you call it? Well, attorney
trying to prosecute. So this is what I typically do in cases. A family comes to me.
I don't think he knows, really. He hasn't tried a case yet. So he's never tried a case. And my information was the city of Minneapolis had a $250 million insurance policy, and he settles for $28 million before the matter goes to trial. So it isn't a conviction where they take it out.
So
well, here's the thing. This is Crump's business model, right? And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying this is how it works. Crump has worked really hard to get his name out there as the go-to person for police shooting cases, for instance. So when a high-profile police shooting case, it don't matter if it happened in Alaska, it doesn't matter anywhere in the 48 and 50 states happens, you always see somehow he gets out there. Well, when he comes with media, and he comes with a lot of pressure. And so what happens with cities is typically they're like, look, we just don't have time. We don't want him coming out here with media and stuff. So a lot of times with Crump, his case is settled even without filing a lawsuit. And if he does file one, it settles real early. And therefore, there's no litigation of the matter. You see, so nobody really knows, he never gets to the point. Like I take cases where young African Americans have guns. People like Crump and them turn down these cases. I prove that it's a drop gun. Because see, the claim is excessive force, not no force. You can shoot somebody and then keep shooting them and then cross the constitutional line. So there's the situation, is that he typically doesn't have to litigate cases because the cases that he settles are so high profile and so riotous in some ways that cities just back down immediately. You see what I'm saying? And so insurance money, and they say,
he's an ambulance chaser.
If you called me off the air, counselor, I'll tell you an F up he's about to get slapped in the face with. He filed on behalf of somebody who has absolutely no standing to file the lawsuit, and he doesn't know it because he's unfamiliar with the law. So that's going to prove an interesting, so it's going to prove an interesting embarrassment if the city doesn't take a dive and there's not bribery going on in the background. But that's so frequently these days. But I appreciate what you're doing. So you set precedents that actually can impact other people. Because when you settle a case, you're not proving a damn thing. You're not setting a precedent. You're just settling it, and nobody admits any liability. It looks good, but you didn't do anything to protect the public. You didn't particularly get a good settlement because if you can't try a case, somebody will say, screw you, let's go to trial. See how you look when we get in front of a jury and whether you know what you're doing or you fumble and stumble. And meanwhile, I know if you litigate, the better you litigate, the stronger your offers are in settlement. In other words, somebody that doesn't do this gets chump change offers, at least within terms of what's on the board otherwise. So that's right. It is what it is.
Good point, Judge. That's a good point, because what happens a lot of times is that a lot of lawyers kind of fragment processes. So you have somebody who wants to do a certain phase of litigation, but when you start taking this stuff up to the appeals court, especially in public official cases, because there's qualified immunity, and that's the pitfall. So and people don't really understand qualified immunity, but in simple terms, a judge can literally say, I believe that a jury could reasonably conclude that your constitutional rights were violated. I believe that. I'm gonna give you a great example. I had the first big flashbang case in the 11th Circuit. Went up to the 11th Circuit, got a published opinion. The judge said, no, Mar, you're right. Throwing a flashbang through a window at 5 a.m. in a little bitty room with a whole queen side bed takes up the whole room and lands on a woman and burns her to death almost. It's wrong. A jury could say, man, that's wrong. That's a constitutional violation. But you know what? We're going to give this officer qualified immunity. And so the case is over. Now, imagine in the United States of America, a federal judge could say, hey, this is a constitutional violation, in my opinion, but I'm going to let the officer walk because of qualified. That's a very interesting doctrine, qualified immunity. I'm not going to say that it's not necessary, but I'm going to say that I believe it's overused, and you should allow juries to resolve factual issues before you start using it.
Let me give you something before I forget. Judge Bernice Donald of the 6th Circuit wrote an interesting opinion. It's relative to the juvenile court down here in Memphis about somebody exceeding the scope of their authority, which removed the qualified immunity. And in this case, they were talking about a judge. So you might want to look that up. It's not been decided in your circuit, but it's well written.
It does that. That is what happens. The only way you be qualified immunity is if there's a similar factual pattern, or somebody just intentionally violates like the judge said, exceeds the scope of their authority because they've intentionally violated a federal state statute.
Yeah. Now the thing about this qualified immunity,
I want to ask a question about it.
I know, but one other thing to set the stage. The qualified immunity comes from an extension of the sovereign immunity. See, you can't sue a sovereign.
That's right.
City, county, state, feds, unless they give you permission to sue them. So what happens is when somebody's acting as an agent of the sovereign, then they get the limited sovereign immunity extended to them as the active component of the sovereign immune entity, which is some governmental entity acting. Okay, I
want to ask a question. Trump, he wants to give all police officers qualified immunity. He said if he's elected. So he would make that.
First of all, all police officers have access to qualified immunity now. They look, I'm telling you right now, when you file a case, especially against law enforcement, Qualified immunity can be filed according to the Supreme Court, and I know this very well. Qualified immunity can be filed at the motion to dismiss, the first stage of the case, trying to get rid of it. You could lose it there, file it again at summary judgment, which is the last stage before trial. You could lose it there and then file it again after the jury comes back with a factual verdict and still win. So, so for Trump to say that every law enforcement officer needs qualified immunity, they already have it. They have the ability to raise it at every litigation phase there is. And they might lose it the first two phases, and then a jury resolves factual issues and win it on the last phase. But I'm going to tell you the most interesting constitutional thing out there. It's not the most interesting, but it's very interesting. You know the young man that got shot up in Florida when they came to the wrong door and he brought his gun to the door? Mm-hmm. So interesting thing that people should think about, and I've raised this before, is that when law enforcement has the no-knock warrants, where they don't have to knock and announce before they do a break and rake or a break and entry. So if you don't knock, you have to always remember in this country, especially in the South, Second Amendment rights are the touchstone. You have a right to bear arms in your home with limited exceptions of felonies and stuff like that. You have a right. So imagine if an officer does not knock and announce, it's 5 a.m, they break and rake your window or they break and enter your door and you grab your gun. Imagine this, because you would naturally do that to defend your home. Mm-hmm. You grab your gun, you point it at the officers, like the young man in Florida. You point at the officer, he shoots you. Your family comes and says, hey man, we got video. These guys didn't knock and announce. He thought they were breaking in the house. He had a right to point the gun at him. They get qualified immunity because they reasonably feared for their life.
Yeah, why is that when police officers can say, well, I was scared? Well, why are you a police officer? Right.
Their conduct created the very danger that they use deadly force to bail themselves out of. You see what I'm saying? So,
and why are they allowed to use that?
Look, in other words, if they are not soldiers, their job is not to put it on the line. Their job is not to, okay, we've got an acceptable casualty rate of 15 to 20% on this mission. So if 15 to 20% of you get shot up, that's okay. This is not where we've got this is in the interest of the national security, so you can die. You're an expendable resource. This is something else. This is a day-to-day job.
I do want to correct something. The young man in Florida did not point the gun. I was just giving an example that even had he pointed the gun, they still would have shot him and tried to claim qualified immunity.
Well, one of the examples where that came up was the Breonna Taylor case.
That's right.
They did not realize that the warrant had been served already. That was negligence by the department. When they busted in, the current boyfriend opened fire. They fired back. The bullets went through the wall behind him, killed Breonna Taylor, who was asleep on the bed, but they couldn't charge him with any kind of crime because of the castle doctrine. He had a right to do what he did. That's so right. It's a situation where there was a compound of errors going on in here and a misunderstanding, 2 or 3, and somebody died. That's collateral damage. It's like, it's not fair. It's like you are operating a vehicle on the freeway. The speed limit is 65. You're going 65. An accident happens and you die or somebody else dies. It's collateral damage, but you don't want to give up the convenience of being able to operate the motor vehicle. You accept the collateral damages. Those are the things that fall in between the lines. They fall in the cracks.
Everybody froze.
Yeah.
Well, no,
everybody froze, it looked like.
No, you're the only one that froze, Mr. Williams.
Can you hear? Can you see me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. It's just that we can't see you moving because it's just like still shot. And you know what? The last time you was on a show, you weren't sitting there. You were someplace else. And the connection was perfect. So maybe it's where you're at in the house.
Yeah, maybe, but this has
got nothing to do with that, Dana. This has got to do with the subject matter, and we're getting interfered with because we are talking about the law, and it impacts on that Trump garbage that they've got going up in New York. It impacts on that garbage with Fannie. It impacts on that garbage with Letitia. it getting facts on that garbage with Bragg.
It could be a dead spot where he's at as well.
No, it's interference because there's no reason for this shit to happen. And it always happens with the same situation, something that derails the narrative that certain people in power right now are trying to give the public. Anytime you diffuse that, this is a lawyer, this is a judge, retired, he's practicing, he's a member of several bars. I practiced and presided for 50 damn plus years. So we're talking not real deal.
It's hot in Georgia.
Dangerous.
Man,
and that's what the problem is. They don't want us to say it. It's got nothing to do with where he is. This is interference. And I'm looking over here in the corner of my screen. It says, be advised that an unauthorized device has been added to Judge Joe Brees' services.
Yeah.
And if I hit, what does this mean? It says a sophisticated listener is attempting to eavesdrop on your conversation.
Well,
so it's going on right now. It just lit up over the corner.
I'm just saying for future reference, just go back to where you
was. Yeah, I'll try a different spot, no problem.
And to see if if that don't make a difference, then definitely 1000% it is interference. And me and the judge are going to talk about that later in the show, because even if we talk about it now, it kind of picks up. It's just a hot mess, and it's just going to get worse as we get closer to November. So anyway, I want to wrap it up with you guys. Listen, I always appreciate when you come on, LA Pink and Mr. Williams. I definitely want to have y'all back on to continue to give us an update. I do want to ask you, Mr. Williams, have you been staying on top of the YSL trial or no? Because I think I asked you that last time.
Well, I saw that whole Brian Steele getting held in contempt and all that stuff. I hadn't really watched it or anything, but that exploded here in Atlanta. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of what happened there. Apparently, I guess there was a witness, a main witness. I guess he was in a room with the judge and everybody, but I guess Brian Steele's team and Steele took exception to it. And
yeah, he actually filed I think it was an appeal today that have to formally request to have the judge removed.
Yeah.
What
claims?
Happened?
Go ahead, Judge Brown.
What happened is the judge had an ex parte hearing concerning this particular witness and his testimony. The witness was present. The prosecutor was present. The judge failed to notify the defense that he had the ex parte hearing. He should have at least filed the notice, even if he felt it was not subject to disclosure. What happened was he ordered the lawyer to disclose who divulged that information to him, and the lawyer said, No. He approached me, and my role as an attorney, that's sacrosanct. I cannot reveal that. That's part of my work product, even if it's not clientele representation. So you cannot make me divulge that. I refuse to it. Instead of the judge saying, well, in that case, you will be required to show cause why you should not be held in contempt after these proceedings are completed. And he didn't do that. He went ahead and found him in contempt, gave him 20 days, and he's got 20 weekends to do it. And it's impossible to consult in a secure fashion when both of you are inmates of the same penal institution.
I know, right?
So it's violation of this man's constitutional rights. And unless the defendant in question gets found not guilty by a jury, the trial is already over right now, is dead, because everything else is tainted from this point on out.
All right, so
it's a mess.
And this is why we're glad that he's not he recused all the judges from our case, because it's gonna be, they're crooked. They're all crooked. They're a corrupt code of corruption crew, and so it's Fulton County.
Right. Well, thank you guys again for coming on. And what is next? What's the next?
We submitted our evidence. We submitted the Facebook social media reports done by our experts to prove that, more than enough evidence to meet a probable cause standard. So I filed it all. We had phone records to demonstrate, at least from the phone that she's been using for 20 years. He never talked to her. And then as soon as we get the hearing notice, we'll have the hearing. I'll be able to cross-examine Mr. Labat, and they'll be able to question LA Pink, and we'll see what happens. We'll see. Because I personally, right off the rip with the social media expert and all that, that's more than enough to say, hey, there's probable cause to put a charge on you for falsifying government records and filing them with the court. That I know that's enough in a normal case. In a situation dealing with the sheriff and things can become a little bit political, we'll find out exactly what's going to happen as soon as we get that court date.
And just like Donald Trump and his cases, particularly the one in New York, which is people were saying, listen, and the judge said this several times, we need to be watching these cases because if it could happen to him, it could easily happen to any one of us. That's right. This is why I especially appreciate what you and LA Pink are doing, because if you are able to win and succeed in this case, that helps other people who are having problems with officials. So,
hold them. It's just about accountability. You can't go around here trying to put citizens in jail because they're exercising their First Amendment rights in a lawful way. No right is absolute, but LA Pink didn't do anything to say, hey, you exercise your First Amendment right unlawfully. You threatened me or you did such and such. No, none of that happened. This is a very overly sensitive person who, if you're going to be that way, don't be in public office.
Exactly. But I'm like, you can't be that sensitive if you out here.
It's really crazy, really. But, we'll see. I think commend LA Pink, and I'm really serious about this because a lot of people, you start going up against sheriffs and stuff like that, people get nervous. They get scared. I had a case where I sued a deputy of the Fulton County Jail, and the FBI got involved, and they asked the person to be honest, one of the colleagues, and he said, hey, man, you don't understand. If I'm honest with you guys right now, I have my family to think about. And they were very serious. And he was a Fulton County officer. And he said, I have my family to think about. I do not want problems. And so, LA Pink was like, hey, look, I'm going to try to hold this guy accountable. And I commend her for that.
Yeah, so do I. And you do have a lot of support, LA Pink. So everyone could go to streetrumors.org. Thank you, moderators, for putting the website in the chat as well. And also, thank you again, Mr. Mario Williams.
Thank you. It was good the other day.
Yeah. And your website is in the chat as well, and it will go in the description.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good lawyer, honey. So y'all need to, especially y'all live in Georgia, y'all better call his office.
By the way, I'm referring a client to you who's got some
already.
I did, but she needs to hook up with you. I gave her your number.
I appreciate it.
And she's got a problem with some crooked stuff with guardian ad litem fees and custody evaluation fees, where Cobb County, she lives in Fulton, but the case is in Cobb, and we're trying to induce the clown. Okay. So it's like $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 awarded in guardian ad litem fees versus $8,000 for attorney fees. It's a crooked thing with some of the judges, and it's kind of ruinous, and it's a black-white thing, straight up and down. But anyway, you'll recognize the last name.
Okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything, and I'll see y'all next time.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Judge.
And blessings, everybody.
I appreciate it.
Good luck and kick some ass.
All right.
All right.
All right.
And blessings, y'all.
I love having them more.
That's entertaining.
Great. Well, yeah, honestly, it was entertaining because it was very informative. And you always say this, listen, there are not enough good attorneys. And Mr. Mario Williams is, from what I can see, an excellent attorney. So listen, his website is in the chat. I'm going to be putting it in the description. In Georgia, and I think he has his license in a couple other states. I think Washington D.C. something. But if you need an attorney, especially if your constitutional rights was violated, reach out to his office. And LA Pink, streetrumors.org. Go and support her organization as well, because you need good community, genuine community activists. So, you know, and if she win this case going up against this sheriff in Fulton County, that helps everyone else having these issues, not just in Fulton County, but in the state of Georgia and any other state. So, yeah. All right. Should we touch again on the YSL trial? I mean, they resumed. I'm glad I'm not on that jury, honey, because now the prosecutor, because remember all last week they had the guy Woody, their hostile witness, on the stand all last week. And now they are going to be playing the police station interview where they were questioning him, I guess, a couple years back. And they said, well, it's like 100 and some hours of interviewing time. So it's going to take them some days to sit and watch the interview. And I think the jurors have to sit and watch this interview, right? So I guess it contradicts what he was saying on the stand. This case is now, I think, day 95. Day 95. So a little over 3 months. I think the prosecutors are dragging this out. What do you think?
I think the judge doesn't know how to keep things moving.
Okay.
I would not allow that. I've been in some long trials. I remember one, it was a federal case way back, almost 40 years ago, and it had to do with pornography and stuff. And we sat through 3 weeks worth of looking at porn films, which got so damn boring. And some of them were sick because they dealt with necrophilia or snuff flicks and all that kind of stuff. So stuff can drag on forever. But this case could have been moved a lot more expeditiously. And one of the problems was the judge was letting the female prosecutor, most obviously inspired by her boss, Fannie, to drag on, get totally out of line, totally disrespectful, deal with things that had no business coming in, doing things that were really inappropriate, and not moving the case on. Like, that's enough. Move on. The next point. All right, your exceptions are noted for the record. Let's get the next one. Move on. Everybody meet in my chambers in 10 minutes. Madam Court Reporter, please put your stuff in there. We're going to have a hearing. And you sort of have one of those come to Jesus meetings back in your chambers, and you straighten stuff out. And you might have told everybody that another example of this, and we are going to have a show cause hearing why somebody should not be held in contempt when this case is over with. And I warn you, one more thing, you're going to bring your boss down here and we're going to get this thing straightened out. It's not going to happen that way. You've been warned. And the next time we're going to bring this out in front of the jury. Now, does everybody understand what the court is saying here? Well, let's get back in it. This is enough. Your Honor, you have heard the court's ruling. I dare you to deviate from it. Say something. Let's go back out there. And that's the way you got to do it. And he's sitting up there. He wants to make the point, and then he starts trying to rationalize with everybody and reason with everybody, and he's got to make some orders. Bam, this is the ruling. Let's move on. Counsel, sit down. Take the jury out. Did the court not warn you?
Right.
Do you not comprehend? You did go to law school. You do possess a law license. Well, act like it. You're officers of this court. If you have anything that you have issue with, it's already on the record. Madam Court Reporter, are you getting all of this? Yes, sir. Well, then you're protected in terms of appeal. We will move on. Is that clear to everybody? All right. Bring the jury back in.
Well,
and then you deal with it.
So today, June 17th, right, at 4:59 p.m., the attorney, Brian Still, he submitted what do you call this? State of Georgia versus Jeffrey Williams. Judge Glanville, motion to disqualify / recuse Judge Glanville from all further dealings in the above reference case, and motion for mistrial, which was goaded, 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 Goaded. How you pronounce it? Goaded, by the improper conduct committed in concert by the court and prosecution. You're muted, Judge.
Goaded. You're talking about goad to provoke, or in other words, his motion was provoked by the conduct of the judge. That's why I guess what I'm getting from what you're saying.
It says goaded. It says motion for mistrial, which was Goaded, goaded or gold.
Okay, and goaded means you take a prod and you stick the cow and you goad him to go that way, or you hit the donkey and you go with it, or you get a cattle prod.
Improper conduct committed in a concert by court and prosecution. So he issued this today to recuse, and
he filed it. So the judge is going to deny it, and it'll go up on appeal if there's a conviction. Like I said, everything from this point on out, unless there's acquittal, is going to be pretty much, this trial is a waste of time from here on out, and a mistrial should be granted. Though the judge might say, well, let's see if he gets if he gets a not guilty verdict. If he does, that's the end of everything. And if not, then it could be taken up later.
The judge that's overseeing this.
Yeah, he's got a rule on it.
Judge Glanville got a rule on this motion.
Yeah, it doesn't. You just can't bypass the judge. You got to give him the opportunity to correct his own errors.
Slow down. Brian Steele, the attorney, had written up, what is that, an appeal, or?
He filed a motion for the judge to get off the case. So the judge is going to hear it. The judge may say, after review, I'm going to tell you all the options.
Don't tell me anything. Let me ask you something specifically so that I can understand it. If this attorney, he written up this motion to recuse Judge Glanville and for a mistrial, Judge Glanville is the one that has to say yay or nay. I'm going to recuse myself.
Yes, that's the rule. In other words, you give the judge the opportunity to correct his own errors. If he doesn't correct the errors and he doesn't grant an interlocutory appeal like Judge McAfee did over his ruling relative to removal of Fannie Willis's office, he granted it. Then you have to get an appellate judge to overrule the trial judge, which is not likely to happen because they say we'll rule on it if there's a conviction. So what happens is you give the trial judge, the opportunity to correct his errors. Sometimes that happens. He might say in reconsideration, all matters of service of a sentence for contempt will be held in abeyance until after this trial is over. And then the motion would become, well, we got a problem here with the chilling effect of this particular conduct. And the judge might say in further reconsideration, the ruling of the court that the defense counsel is in contempt for failure to reveal the identity of the informant was poorly taken, and the court will reverse its ruling. It could do that, but you have to file it and give the trial judge the opportunity to correct his own error, if there is an error. If not, an appellate court will deal with it later. In other words, the next pay grade up. Got it? In other words, it's like this. You get a traffic ticket. Are you going to talk the cop out of writing you the ticket? Maybe. If the talk doesn't work, then you tell it to the judge. Got it? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm doing something right now.
Oh, okay.
Just mute up for a second. And guys, I need everybody to hit the like button. But right before this show started, I always post the show on my website, and then I send out the show to everyone on the mailing list and blog it. And apparently Wix was down. It was down before the show started. It was still down even after the show started. But now the shit is up. And I'm looking at the numbers. It's kind of low tonight. And when I post this on the website, it helps. But I wasn't allowed to because Wix all of a sudden was down. Wix.com. And then I typed in my website. It was not coming up. And now it is.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm looking at a note on my phone over here saying there's an unauthorized device. Somebody is eavesdropping.
I know, but your whole system is cloned.
I know that, but
mine is not.
I know, but you got infected. That's the whole thing. With the conversation is not comfortable to the powers that be. This is fascism.
Now
this is bullshit. This is modern day Nazi Germany. 1932, fast forward 90 some goddamn years, 80 some years,
right?
90, almost 90.
So
well, actually, it's more than 90. It is 92 damn years.
So what I'm doing, I'm shooting out the email, basically. And I do this before the show. So, you know what I'm saying? So everyone could get it ahead of time and get situated. But now I have to do this mid-show because Wix all of a sudden was down. Now, speaking of that, briefly, I want us to briefly talk about this. Give me a second. 1 second. Now it's down again. Gotta be kidding me. All right. Speaking of the bullshit, let me share this. All right. Surgeon General calls for warning labels on social media platforms. Dr. Vivek Murthy said he will urge Congress to require a warning that social media use can harm teenagers' mental health. The U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, announced on Monday that he will push for a warning label on social media platforms advising parents that using the platforms might damage adolescents' mental health. Warning labels like those that appear on tobacco and alcohol products are one of the most powerful tools available to the nation's top health officials. But Dr. Murthy cannot unilaterally require them. The action requires approval by Congress. The proposal builds on several years of escalating warnings from the Surgeon General. In May of 2023 advisory, he recommended that parents immediately set limits on phone use and urged Congress to swiftly develop health and safety standards for technology platforms. But what is the problem with this? You are muted, Judge. I don't know if you were saying anything. What is the problem with this? This is a problem because you mean to tell me now YouTube, which YouTube will probably love because they want YouTube to start creating notes. Facebook and Instagram, with any social media fan base, all the ones, Truth Social, whatever. You want warning labels, which I think is unconstitutional because you take a Truth Social, and what is that other one? I forgot the other one that is more, a lot of Republicans on that one. But if you take certain social media apps that are, let's just say, more right wing, they're going to automatically label them as toxic, as opposed to a Facebook or, you know, something that's more liberal. See, that's the problem. Who gets to say what social media app is harmful to your health?
Adolf Hitler, Zeke Heil. And you know, Facebook or YouTube will have all kinds of hell with that. But the bottom line is that's what they're doing. Not since 1932 has anybody had the boldness to do some crap like this. It stinks. And the other thing is you can access YouTube 24/7, and it's not a case like broadcast TV where you can say after 10 o'clock it's presumed to be a.
All right, I don't know what happened. Somebody must have called him just now. Listen, my platform is very professional. You get a lot of knowledge. It's very informative. We have legitimate guests that come on, people who are doing things in our community, highly respected and professional people such as Judge Joe Brown. So bear with us when we have a little bit of technical issues, you know, whether it's somebody's Wi-Fi and they're freezing up, whether it's the judge, you know, again, it takes him forever. I did announce a couple of weeks ago, his phone, his iPad, and everything has been hijacked, basically. So don't think that this platform is low budget or ghetto. It's not. This is real news, real discussion, informative discussion that you're going to get here that you're not going to get anywhere else. Legitimate, factual, you know, content. And the powers that be do not want that. They want to keep you dumb and numb. So guys, please hit that like button, share this video, donate to this platform to support it. Yes, I don't have a problem saying donate. I do have a cash app.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Say something.
Testing. I can hear you. If you can't hear me, you're going to have to drop down.
Oh, shit.
So, again, yeah, just go out and come back in.
I am. That's what I was getting ready to do.
Okay. You know, this is real news that we have not had in a very long time. And there are other great platforms too that give you real informative news. Like I like Redacted. I don't agree with some of the things, especially what they say on reparations, and we're about to get into the reparations conversation. However, you know, it's not nonsense. So again, this is just a disclaimer. Don't think that I don't have updated technology, because I do. I don't have cheap equipment. You know, this is real-time censorship happening in front of us. That's all I'm saying. All of these cities are meeting with Trump. When will FBA and ADOS get serious about advancing a political agenda? They just like talking about reparations. Well, Tyson, you look like you possibly could be non-FBA. I don't want to say the tether word. But who said that Black Americans are not? And we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to get into that. Yeah, deep state and shadow gun. Yeah, and honestly, this deep state not even deep. It's on the top surface, honey. They're not hiding anything. Now they're trying to scare people with Project 2025. There's no Project 2025. That is a Democrat scaring you because they will not have control of the White House nor Congress by 2025. And that's what they do. Scare you with scare tactics. You got Chicken Bone eating Al Sharpton saying Trump is a racist. Everybody's a racist. Everybody's a racist. So they scare Black people. Oh my God, he's a racist, so I can't vote for him or whatever, which is all BS. It's not even about race. So they're trying to use scare tactics, and they're trying to use chaos to distract you from what is really going on. And what is really going on is this administration is doing all they can do from the time they was sworn into office to November, because they know they're going to get voted out. They're doing all they could do to add in all of these laws and legislation and policies to the illegals, to the LGBTQ community. They, the draft, they're doing all, they're creating this chaos, right? So when Trump and his people take office, they can sit up here and say, oh, you see, the country is going downhill because of him. No, the country is going downhill because of the Biden administration. The country is going downhill because of Democrats that we have in Congress. Yeah, I don't need a sign. I don't need a sign. But thank you. That was a nice suggestion. All right, can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right, good.
I think I cured the whistle.
Okay.
I found I was not that weak. I can still do some of what I did. So I moved a multi-100-pound refrigerator out and unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little shock from it, but a little thrill. What the hell?
Okay. Well, all right. So let's move on to the meat of today's show, right? Just briefly though, I do want to acknowledge this because I did put it in the title. So Tariq Nasheed, he held his reparations rally in DC this past Saturday. I went to the first one, which was about 2 years ago. I went to the first one, and it was good. It was good. And now I'm pretty sure this year it was more people, most likely more people, because he had more time to promote it and everything. And the first time when he had it, it was around the same time that it was that weekend when you were debating Michael Everett Dyson. And
that week thing that we did up in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yes. And so right after that debate, I drove to DC, went to the reparations rally. Listen, the people of DC, some wonderful people, some wonderful Black people in DC, very warming people. But anyway, he held the reparations rally, and it was a success. It was a success. And a lot of people, retweeted. A lot of people went there and they posted up videos or retweet, the speakers. Now, a lot of people don't agree with some of the speakers. Like, I don't know what that. Like, some people may have a problem with Vicky Dillard or Visit Islam, and that's fine. But it doesn't matter. The fact is that everyone, did a good job, and the event was a success. Now, with that said, you don't just go home and sit on your ass. I did see a couple of signs where people said, I'm voting for couch Biden Trump, and they checked off the couch. No. See, I appreciate Tariq Nasheed putting stuff like this together, to have Black people come together and give them hope that, yes, we have a culture here, it's positive. It's not all negative what people like to portray. We have history here. We are all reparations or whatever. So it's more like getting people riled up or just getting their attention on something that is necessary. But he is not the person that is going to get Black Americans reparations. He is not the leader of anything. He never said he was. And I think my concern is, particularly with Black Americans, we have to distinguish between a rally and public policies, a rally and legislation. Having rallies do not and will not bring reparations, will not bring restitutions, will not do anything. It's just a place for Black people to come together, do some networking, get motivated. But you're supposed to take that energy back where you live at and organize. And if you're not doing that, then you need to shut up.
Well,
I'll cut the check.
Actually, my perspective, I'm not interested. I'd like reparations, but I'm about Black power. I'm not about asking anybody for a damn thing. It's about have the power to make it happen rather than asking somebody to do it for you. That's the wrong way. That's childlike. You got to be masculine and say, this is what's going to happen, or there will be consequences, and nobody's talking about it. And they keep voting for the same jackass party that doesn't represent them, that represents the rainbow cult, not black folk. So, by the way, I think they added black to the rainbow cult flag these days. So I guess that's been co-opted too. But I'll be damned if I'm going to get up and do that shit that they did back in the 50s, being down on your knees while somebody's beating your ass across the head, kicking your ass until somebody else feels guilty about it. That's not the American way. Black, white, brown, red, yellow. So I'm too old to do that. I want power, black power, like everybody else has power. And there are consequences when that black power is ignored. So until somebody gets to talking like that, I don't want any part of it. That's just me. And it's got nothing to do about being against white people. It's like same thing the Irish did, the Italians did, the Mexican Americans did, the Native Americans did, you name it. The Jewish Americans did, the English Americans did, Scotch Americans did, Irish Americans did. It's about power. And these damn fool Negroes cannot get it in their souls that they do not owe any goddamn party any damn loyalty. They are supposed to deal with casting their votes to maximize the benefits, effectiveness, and tangible outcomes when it comes to voting. It's a bargain.
Right.
Not a giveaway. They don't own your dumb ass. Come off of it.
Right. I want to ask you, so again, listen, the rally, yes, it was a success. But one thing I will say, Tariq Nasheed gives people, particularly Black American voices, a platform. But it is
to
your
do what?
No. Let me finish.
And whining for 50 years and ain't done shit since the 60s. So when are we gonna do something?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It is your responsibility to do something, not his.
Yeah, I know. So bottom line, shut the hell up and do something.
Right. So is this like, listen, the judge don't have to come on no social media. He don't got to be a guest on nobody's show. We don't got to do this show. He don't have to, he could literally sit on his ass, but he chooses to be here and to educate the masses, to inform the masses, right?
I don't give one goddamn penny for this. This is done out of the goodness of my heart, trying to save America and save some black folk in America, some Native Americans also, some Irish also, some Italians also. And I'm not getting paid for this. I have no goddamn hustle. I don't get 2 cents out of this. I get some advertisement for barbecue products, and that's it.
Right.
So I'm not doing this for hustle. Every son of a bitch out there doing this black voice shit is getting a hustle. He's making a living off of it. Like these pulpit pimp preachers. If you're going to get free, you do it free.
Well,
now, I have nothing to gain off of this.
I ain't doing nothing for free. Sorry.
Well, you have expenses, and you gotta be able to afford to be in a position to do this. So you get paid. I don't have a problem with a preacher getting paid for his services, but these damn pulpit pimps getting rich off of some folk word about going to hell think they can buy their way out of it. That ain't right.
So listen, and this is the thing, and I don't,
movement pimps either.
Right. No, like I don't have a problem with people, getting compensated. However, I don't get compensated a lot because of the content that I talk about. If I talked about celebrities, if I talk about relationships, I would make hella way more money. I would. If I didn't have the judge here and I talked about celebrities, even if I didn't have him here and I just went hard on the illegal or the migrant crisis, I would make hell of a lot more money. So I'm associating with myself with someone who Big Brother don't like. And you would think, oh, at this man age, you know what I'm saying, that he doesn't have a reach, but he does because Big Brother don't like him. So I don't make a lot of money because of the content that I choose to talk about. And anyone who, you know, yes, there are people like Al Sharpton, you know, they do hustle on Black suffering.
Goddamn pimps.
Right. I'm not saying that's Tariq Nasheed because I do appreciate his.
I'm not calling him that. He's just making too much money off of it. You ain't getting free if you don't do it for free.
True. But that's the thing. He's not a revolutionary. He's not a politician. He is in media. He created documentaries, and I appreciate that because it's educational documentaries that you were in one of them as well. So education and educating Black Americans and all of America and everybody everywhere is very important. So I don't fault him for that. But what I'm saying is because he have a large following, the problem that I have is a lot of Black Americans look to him. And why are you looking to him? Look to yourself. And that is not happening. But this is a question I said I wanted to ask you, and I said I was going to ask you during the show. So up here, it says Tariq Nasheed versus Myron Gaines, right? And Sneeko. I don't know who these people are, but they are... now, aside from Tariq Nasheed, the rest of them, like they're not all that intelligent at all. They're not. However, he was on a Twitter space with them or whatever, and they was talking about, I guess, white supremacy and all this other stuff. So these guys, the guy Myron and the guy Sneeko, said that Lyndon B. Johnson was Jewish. Is that
true? Hell no.
And that's what I'm saying. People just make up dumb shit.
I knew his damn girlfriend, Marie Brown, no relationship to me. We used to talk at some great length. I met the son he had with Marie Brown in 1965, looked just like him. And I met the son that he had in 1966 with a Black White House secretary who looked just like him with a slight suntan.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't Jewish.
Right.
Good old Southern boy.
Real quick.
He got a good art. See, what a lot of people don't realize is how he got his political start. Is he opened up a private school that he taught in for Mexicans and Black folk who were illiterate that needed to be educated. A sheriff killed his dog, and he got pissed off and decided to run for public office. So he registered Blacks and Mexicans to vote, and he got his buddies to take all of the above to the polling places on election day in the back of their pickups, and he got elected to his first office. We held him up there above everybody, with the exception of perhaps Abraham Lincoln, and that was even with reservations, as doing the most for Black folk, and he did.
Right.
So it still is a record until we got Trump in that has not been beaten, and stupid idiots, ignoramuses who fell for the jackass propaganda start calling Trump a racist. Well, Trump hasn't acted a racist. He said a few things that you could construe that way, but let's take the Central Park Five. Hell, I even said they needed their asses jacked up because they confessed. And the daddy brought in one of them, and all the rest of them came in and confessed. It isn't like the police did the third degree on them. Mm-hmm. It isn't like it wasn't a horrible crime. And Trump was expressing what a lot of people, Black and white, were thinking about that crime. Now it turns out there was something else going on. Hell, he didn't know. So that's not racism. Yeah, he wouldn't rent to some Black folk who just didn't have the resume, didn't have the financial credit standing. And who the hell do you want in your apartment buildings and your rental properties? Somebody you're going to have to guarantee you got to drag in to get a FED, forcible entry and detainer, to get out of your building after they haven't paid rent? Hell no. You want a good, reliable tenant. And he didn't give a damn whether he was black, white, brown, red, or yellow. You just had to have the credit report. So I mean, that's not racism. That's sound business.
Well, but again,
so I mean, it's like hell with it. If you cool, you cool. And the bottom line is what is he doing for you? These damn son of a bitches you got in. You got the fake Negro Mrs. Imhoff. You've got the racist who was mentored by a Grand Dragon of the Klan, who had Mississippi Stennis and Eastland behind them, Arkansas's Faubus behind them, George Wallace behind them, saying he was the greatest thing for the Southern cause since damn sliced bread. And you want to talk about some mess. Give me a break. Get real.
Right.
And stop being a lapdog, wagging your damn tail and rolling over on your back until your master scratch your belly and give you a few bacon bits treats and opening up your kibbles and bits and cow can to feed your damn ass. Man the hell up and stand up.
Jeremiah, nobody said nothing about Tariq making any money. Tariq made a lot of his money from his documentaries, and rightfully so. So
I'm not talking about him. I don't know what the hell.
No, let me just say this. Let me wait.
You don't get free unless you do it for free.
Let me say this to all you Black people, Black fools. And I'm sorry to have to say that, but it's true. Get out your feelings. Tariq Nasheed is a public figure, just like the judge, just like me. So the fact is that get out your feelings if somebody is talking about his event, because nobody is not saying, oh, he's this, he's that. Nobody say nothing. He didn't make money from this. He already said it. Ain't nobody said he did.
Fuck off. Fuck off. I'm sick of bullshit. Get your goddamn ass out there and do something and quit talking shit. I paid my goddamn dues, still do. Lost $2.5 million in the last 2 damn years because I say what I say. So F the hell off and go do something. If I got something to say, then goddamn it, I earned the right to say it. And I'm not talking about him. I don't know if he makes any money off of it or not. I'm just talking about I know enough goddamn preacher pulpit pimps and enough pimps of the damn movement. And there are a bunch of them out there. And they need to be goddamn moved to the side, and we need to move on and get ourselves a new crop of heroes who actually take chances to do what they do.
Right.
Put it on the line.
Exactly.
Talk shit and talking mess about white supremacy. Get off of it. It's
white supremacy a lot.
Goddamn white supremacy. It's nothing but adversity. Everybody on this whole damn planet has been in a condition of slavery at one time or another in their history. They moved on, they got this shit together, and they got power. We can do the same damn thing. Stop talking race shit when the big problem is the goddamn rainbow cult shit. Just being crammed down your throat, ruining the goddamn nuclear family, manhood, womanhood, and childhood. And you worried about somebody that may have said something about your ass somewhere in a back room, like you don't talk about white folk.
Right.
So what the hell makes you think that if it's all right for you, it ain't all right for somebody else? Get over it.
But yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson,
power instead of running around begging.
Lyndon B. Johnson was not Jewish, so Myron and all of them, they are.
The hell did somebody come up with that shit? Good old Southern.
A non-black person. A non-black person that was on X talking shit about black people. So yeah.
Lyndon Baines Johnson. Give me a break. Southern boy from Texas.
Yeah. So
right now.
Yeah. So all right, let's move on to Trump, right? Trump campaign announces Black Americans for Trump coalition. Listen, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
Today, President Donald J. Trump announces Black Americans for Trump, a coalition with endorsements from elected officials, athletes, entertainers, community leaders, and pastors who love our country. The coalition launches ahead of Juneteenth holiday, acknowledging and commemorating the ending of slavery in the United States.
It didn't end slavery, and it was a year and a half late after the Civil War was over. A damn pathetic shame. And for 65 years of my life, nobody black celebrated Juneteenth except the Negroes down in Texas. Now everybody got a chance to celebrate something black that gets associated with the Rainbow Cult Month. And the new sign for Juneteenth is a fist in rainbow colors with a little black showing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a co-op thing, and I'm mad as hell because it's my granddaughter's birthday.
So elected officials, Byron Donalds, of course, Wesley Hunt, Tim Scott, Burgess Owens, John James, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson, and Melanie Collette, New Jersey County Commissioner, right? And then, of course, they have endorsements.
Those Negroes ain't done a goddamn thing for the race or the country either.
Who, the public officials I just...
Yes.
Wow, let me
They don't do anything for the country. They don't do any damn thing for their own people. They're useless, and they get elected by appealing to color, and then they turn around to the multicolor goddamn rainbow cult. And I don't give a damn about gay folk. You do whatever in the hell you want to do in your bedroom. Get your freak on. I'm talking about public policy that destroys the nuclear family, destroys childhood, destroys womanhood, destroys manhood, comes up with bullshit travesties about some little 8-9-year-old child that ain't even got a hard on or a wet pussy, and you want to talk about they decided they wanted to be the opposite sex. And you sit there and you change them. And we were just looking at that other thing that says, goddamn, 75% of these kids that talk that shit grow out of it. Mm-hmm. And they have an underlying psychological mental health problem as well. So, yeah, pandering to the wrong kind of thing, self-hate, no principle, no character, no purpose, no cause. Everything is nihilistic. No duty, no honor, no responsibility. And that's what you want everybody to be about. No guilt, no shame, no order, no nothing. Everything goes to hell. And then you take these boys that are still the same apex predator that has ruled the planet Earth, and you turn them loose without any goddamn man training. And it's no damn wonder freaks shoot up the hallway and damn hood rats shoot up the hood.
So let me play a little bit of devil advocates, because like you said, those elected officials have not done anything for the Black community. But how about this? How about Black people have not demanded anything?
That's the other thing. In America, they've had a shame for 200 years. A system like this, you get the representation you deserve. If your reputation ain't shit, you ain't shit, because you haven't shown what you needed to demand representation from the people that you put in office to represent you.
Right.
Now get it together. You don't live on a goddamn slave plantation that's painted blue.
The only thing I don't like about some of the people that endorse them, and listen, they're just listing the public figures, but it was some entertainers, some rappers. I don't care about them. I really don't. So, you know,
it's not that some entertainers and rappers haven't got their shit together, but that doesn't make them experts in a topic. That doesn't make them balls out heroes because they make believe. They could do make believe as a business and be about being heroic, but I'm not following them just because they are on TV. I know what kind of bullshit that can be. And I know some good people that are involved in that, in the movie industry too. But a whole of them are nothing but a bunch of sissies running around masquerading like they got balls.
Mm-hmm.
They're actors, professionals in turning make-believe into the semblance of reality.
Right.
So that's not why you follow somebody. Find someone that's made a stand that will speak to power.
So I want to share this.
All right.
I want to share this.
Biden and Trump among black voters, compare where we were at this point in 2020, compare where we are now. You know, at this point, look at this. In 2020, Joe Biden was getting 86% of the African-American vote. Look at where it is now. It's 70%. That's a 16-point drop, John. And more than that, it's not just that Joe Biden is losing ground. It's that Donald Trump is gaining ground. You go from 7%, single digits at this point in 2020, to now 21%. And again, John, I keep looking for signs that this is going to go back to normal, and I don't see it yet in the polling. If anything, right now, we're careening towards a historic performance for Republican presidential candidate, the likes of which we have not seen in 6 decades.
Talking about Eisenhower.
Right. So what are your thoughts on that?
It's inevitable. You got a bullshit artist that's so goddamn decrepit, he poops his Pampers. And his wife's got to escort him off the stage. Well, he wasn't on a stage. Escort him off on a D-Day celebration, June 6th, with all of the veterans raring back because of the smell. He can hardly move around. Yeah, I mean, come on. If you vote for him, the other thing is you're getting Hyena Harris Imhoff in there.
Yeah.
And by the way, why is she hiding her married name? She's married, Mrs. Sarah Palin, Mrs.
I don't want to get too much into that. I really
Mrs.
don't.
Hillary Clinton, Mrs. Gloria Feinstein. All of these women use their married names, and this heifer got to use her maiden name. What's the point?
Well, let's stay on topic here, because Trump, he was in Detroit this past weekend, and he spoke at a black church, and there were a lot of people saying it was a whole bunch of white people. No, it was black people.
Yeah, some white people came. I mean,
and that's okay. And that's okay. They can come. And that's,
no, it's not.
No, not what? What are you talking about?
I said it doesn't have to be segregated. I said, so white people came to a black church for a public event, and somebody who's candidate for president they support, they can't walk in? Oh, hell no. Yeah, right. They're going to walk in. And that you got some white people in the audience, yeah, that's what you expected. Martin Luther King and all of the rest on the civil rights movement, you saw a whole lot of white people involved in that. So get over it.
I want to play this clip.
I had some issues early in my life, you know, young black man in the city. I got incarcerated. And it just so happened to be under the Joe Biden's 1994
right.
crime bill. I'd like to thank you for working on the First Step Act that reversed that. That was big. That was real big. Anyway, I turned my life around right now. I have 6 children, and I worry about their future. Democrats are attacking our kids right now. What will you do to protect our children and their future?
Well, we're going to get your children jobs. We're going to make it possible for them to work. We're going to stop illegals from coming in, because your biggest threat are the illegals taking the jobs. We have threats as to security, too, because, again, so many of them come from prisons and jails, from mental institutions, and even insane asylums. That's a step above, that's many steps above mental institutions. And we're not going to allow this to happen. And the first community, and this is open knowledge, that's being affected, and affected very badly, is the black community, because they're taking your jobs. And we want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. They have to be vetted, and they have to come in legally. So I think that's the biggest single thing that we can do in terms of the future, because you see already what's happening, where your wages are down, it's going down, it's going to get very bad. I think it's going to get very bad. So we have to close up the border, we have to stop, and we want people to come in, but we want them to come in legally, and they have to come in through a legal process. It's so unfair to our country, but I think that's the biggest thing we can do.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you very much. Congratulations, Steve.
All right. So, you know, he's going to get a lot of, he's at 21% right now when it comes to Black American voting for Trump and Republicans. That is going to increase. We are only in June. And that is because the number one factor is the illegal migrants that are coming in here. And people are fed up with the Biden administration because we know, yes, you're bringing them in to replace us and to replace Americans. They are also allowing them to be counted. So that alone, we're not even talking about reparations at this point. That's going to have to come later. People are going to vote. Black people, particularly Black men, are going to vote for Trump because of illegal migrants and business, the economy, and rightfully so.
I went in someplace and it was interesting. My niece and I went into a restaurant today. It was interesting because I discovered that I had gotten a screenshot of the menu in the place from 3 years ago. The entree I ordered was $17.95. And 3 years ago, the entree was $7.85. It had gone up $9 damn in 3 years. Same restaurant. It doubled, more than doubled. That's inflation. Went into a grocery store and I spent $212 and some odd cents for getting stuff that used to cost me $80, $90 3 years ago. It's bullshit. It's just general incompetence. And most of the money is being used for social programs that for charitable description can be listed as cutting somebody's dick off and giving them an artificial twat or building up a rubber dildo and calling it a dick. And that is ridiculous.
Well,
and spending money, putting people up in 4-star hotels, giving them credit cards, and running everybody else through BS. Like, if you notice, you have a very limited time to get that star on your driver's license because California and New York decided that they were intentionally going to give known illegals driver's licenses. So it's no longer a guarantee that you'll get on an airplane now because it doesn't reflect citizenship, thanks to these two idiot states.
Well, listen.
And is this popping fresh Doughboy? Pillsbury Doughboy with the chocolate chips up here.
So staying on this Trump, Black American coalitions for Trump, Roland tweeted,
Roly-poly.
Y'all know I've got to say about that BS event Donald Trump had at a Black church in Detroit. It's time to hashtag bring the funk on hashtag Roland Martin Uncensored on the Black Star Network. And so he has his t-shirt on and says, vote like a Black woman.
Yeah, he's a bitch. So anyway, let's deal with that. I suspected as much. You want Black men to vote like they're Black women. Yeah, bitch. Excuse me, you brought that on yourself by your own advertisement.
Vote like a Black.
Treasonous damn house Negro.
So aren't we in the trouble that we're in now? Because
that's how he got in there. He was flunking around for Obama boy, down on his knees in front of him, facing him, trying to fool with his zipper. And he got discovered by Hollywood, and now they make him showpiece Negro.
Well, aren't Black Americans in this mess because everyone was voting like a Black woman?
I didn't say it. You did. You got license. I'm a gentleman.
No, you can say it. You can say it. You can say this is what happens.
I always said good women give advisement and good men give guidance.
Say that again.
Good women give advisement that's sound, and good men give effective guidance.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't support.
And that's my policy. No, I'm not following any woman into combat. No, I'm not working for any woman. No, if the woman is an administrative boss, okay, if she's got it, fine. But when she needs leadership, there ain't one that's going to lead me. I'm sorry.
What if she's the mother of dragons?
Screw it. I could do a better job off of what I saw up there with Game of Thrones anyway. It was kind of lame in some senses to me. You had to just suspend belief. Suspend reality. See, this Hollywood stuff is interesting. None of these folk that drew this stuff for Hollywood are leadership. They fantasize it, and their ideas are not really what they ought to be. That's why some of the interest in these court TV shows, what Hollywood would come up with was nowhere close to the reality. That's why everybody's paying attention to idiot sister gal down there in the Georgia trial where the judge got his ass in trouble because he didn't put her in check. And now he jacked the brother around and he's in trouble because he violated the rules, perhaps. Or you got Mammy Fanny down there, and that's what you're supposed to be following as leadership. Give me a break. Come on.
So briefly, because somebody put this in the chat. I want to talk about Obama and Joe Biden was at a charity event over the weekend. And he had to be guided off the stage by Obama.
Yeah, Bush Bunny and the baboon.
So what was that about? Like, we have
Bush Bunny leading the baboon off, and then you got the hyena, and then you got the vultures in the Democratic Party. They're all lurking to scavenge something. Or maybe you should call him Buzzard Biden, Hyena Harris, and Vulture Democrats. And they're trying to feed off the carcass of the country once they kill its soul off.
Yeah, so let me play this clip.
And guess what? It's growing. The economy's growing. People's doing better. We have the highest unemployment, the highest, lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. We have more people. We've had over 15 million people brand new hired into the workforce. My son says we ought to have
Your son, you crackhead?
Various short-term descriptions for your jobs.
The crackhead boy?
He's incoherent. That man is sick.
Yes, he is doddering. He's senile.
And they know that.
Son of a bitch with the finger on the red button, and they're carrying around the atomic football. So if he's got to call it, that's who you have in charge. If he gets reelected, he's not going to last out a year. You'll resign in favor of the hyena who grins her way to embarrassment.
I think I had a slight deja vu just now.
And what the hell is she trying to hide by using her maiden name?
I don't know.
Oh, is it that she's for the destruction of the traditional nuclear family? She's for the emasculation of the country? She's the type that calls marriage a form of slavery? Is that it? Or is it something else?
So y'all want me to make the judge more upset?
Go ahead.
U.S. judge blocks Biden protections for LGBT students in 4 states. Well, this probably make you happy. A federal judge in Louisiana on Thursday blocked President Joe Biden's administration for enforcing in 4 states a new rule that protects LGBT students from discrimination based on their gender identity in schools and colleges. U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty in Monroe issued a preliminary injunction barring a U.S. Department of Education rule that extended sex discrimination protections under the Title IX to LGBT students from taking effect in the Republican-led states of Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, and Idaho. Actually, no, Ohio was in there too. It's 5.
Ohio. Let me explain what they're talking about. They still have dicks, and screw them if they can still screw the female students, and they have no business in the same bathrooms, the same shower rooms, the same locker rooms, and in the same sports as these girls, which deprive them of the opportunity to participate equally in female sports. There's some little bitch boys that have mental health issues, and you know what happened when the American Medical Association Psychiatric Institution Clinical Psychologist Association, they came out with the majority paper saying this is something that clears up within 75% of the cases as somebody grows out. They have associated mental health problems. It's not normal. And the correct treatment is not to sit up there and encourage them to go deal with the deviancy. And that's wrong. And we resent being associated with this small minority, this minuscule minority that tries to perpetrate like this is normalcy. It's not. So we've been sold a bill of goods by this bunch of clowns. I understand it is a problem if your brain is hardwired like a girl's and you got a dick. That's bad. So you need to be treated as a challenged person, a person with a handicap and some liabilities. But the solution is not to get everybody else to behave like they have the problem. That's like some people when they had a thalidomide problem, especially in Japan, got born without one or both arms. The solution to that is not cut everybody else's arm off so you can be armless too. Is to deal with some compensation for the victims of thalidomide. That's the problem. Your brain ain't hardwired like a man and you got a dick. Well, you got a problem. We can feel sorry for you, but the rest of us don't have to go that way. And as I've said over and over again, under American law, it's not going to work if you have a rule that is not neutral. And this is ethnically not neutral because there is no rational reason to allow somebody who thinks in a strange thing, I'm a woman, oh my God, I never realized until I was 7 years old that I was a girl, so I put on a sports bra and a tight jock strap and I can go take a shower. How do I take a shower? Don't worry about what's swinging down there. I don't like to use it. I'm not wired that way. So when I'm looking at you, am I playing like these old 1950 movies where the boys all masqueraded as girls who could get into the locker room so they can look at naked female bodies? Oh, I'm not a pervert like that. Or I'm in this room and your daughter is in this room and I still can get a hard on. And when everybody's all soaked down, oh my God, I couldn't help myself. Oh, hell no. Keep your ass in the boys' locker room. And if you can't make the boys' varsity, then sit your ass in the bench, in the bleachers, on the bench, in the bleachers, and cheer like everybody else. And if you're going to be a cheerleader, be one that's wearing slacks and a sweater instead of going out there trying to put on a short skirt and high kick like you a girl. Catch the girls. Don't try to kick like them. That's from Satan. Sick shit. Okay. Excuse me.
We're gonna.
And I'm not down in gay folk. Lesbian, gays, eat all the pussy you want, suck all the dick you want. That's your business. But this other shit where you masquerading as a girl is destroying everybody's favorite sport. Girl watching and boy watching. Nobody does it anymore. Boys and girls 101A and B, they threw that out the window. Nobody knows how the hell to deal with the opposite sex anymore. It's crazy. Anyway.
But why is it? I mean, honey, aren't you a little biased? Because you said lesbians eat all the pussy, gay guys suck all the dick or whatever. But I mean,
that ain't my business.
But there are other people in the alphabet that do different things.
I know. That's sex. I mean, that's how you have mutual masturbation. I don't call it sex if it can't potentially lead to reproduction.
Right.
It's mutually collaborative masturbation for an erotic arousal and orgasm, I suppose, or some kind of pleasure. That's your business. But these freaks that go around putting on sports bras, calling themselves girls, hitting on girls, hurting them, and taking over girls' sports, that's unacceptable. These perverts that are trying to actually groom children as sexual objects, they need to be up under the jail. And if there's anything that requires or deserves a death penalty, it's practice pedophilia. And that's my opinion about the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting on anybody's bench anymore, so I can say what I'm thinking. When I was on the bench, I was scrupulously fair and impartial because that revealed a lot of things that justice and equity required. But I'm not on that bench, and it's full of shit. And we need to say, okay, you over there. And when it comes to controlling, nobody except an exceptional few has ever really met a homosexual maniac and had to defend one as his lawyer or sentence one as the judge or deal with that kind of sickness. So they have irresistible urges. But do we let homicidal maniacs go around and kill people? No, we don't.
Right.
So when you've got another kind of urge that you can't resist, that's not saying, too bad, dude, or whatever you are, you can't do it. I'm sorry. And we can't allow this country to be ruined by a new religious cult, semi-religious cult that has insinuated itself as the official philosophy of the country, because every damn elementary school, middle or junior high school and high school these days has got rainbow all over the walls and down the hallways. Now, what do you think they're doing but indoctrinating the kids in this self-hatred mess, this mess about you don't have to be a man, you don't have to be a woman, you can cop out and do something else. Instead of being a man who's supposed to make a stand about protecting, serving, and doing what is right for the people, you can go cop out and become another holder screw.
So let's shift gears a little bit. House passes defense bill automatically registering men ages 18 to 26 for draft.
And there's no exemptions, which I think is bad because the exemptions cause people to stay focused on education or vocational advancement. So they didn't get that 1A and kept the 2A. Now it looks like they're going to do it all for lottery, and they're putting the women in here. And the whole damn screwed up thing is do you want women in a combat role when women might, in a very bad situation as they did in Germany, Russia, and Italy, and Japan, have to restore the drastically diminished human population after a huge war? So Russia lost 125 million people, soldiers and civilians, in World War II. Who did you think was supposed to be around to make up that loss? If you go kill off the reproductive side of humanity, what are you doing? That's crazy.
Right. I want to play this clip.
That's just what one of the topics Fox and Friends Weekend coach Pete Hexas addresses in his new book, War on Warriors, Behind the Betrayal of the Men Who Keep Us Free, which is out today, and you should pick it up. In the book, Pete writes.
That's right. It's out today, and a portion of it is about recruiting. Why aren't guys joining? And I wrote, we can't wait to recruit our largest and most important military demo until a crisis occurs. That's normal, strong men. But that's just what the Biden woke policies have done. A social justice military fails to recruit the masculine men who make up our warrior class. No wonder there is a massive recruiting crisis in our military today, and there is.
So, Pete, let's explore some of the stuff that's in this book. Yeah. I'm on page 112. Let's go to the next wall. All right, so these are the recruitment numbers right here. We had a segment a few weeks ago, and they said that it's actually going up, but there's deeper numbers?
So these are 2023 numbers. They're all down. Army,
Okay.
and if you're down 15,000 troops, that's a division. That's a division that you haven't staffed with young privates. So Navy's down, Air Force is down. Marine Corps meets it because it's a little bit, their ads are a little bit more, hey, you know, the few, the proud, the Marines. In 2024, they say they're going to meet their goals because they're reducing the goal number.
Okay, gotcha.
They're taking the number down, say, oh, we don't need as many troops.
So when they say they're on pace, it's because the number has changed.
Yeah, they lower the standards, like everywhere else in the military. Lower the standards.
So there's also the 77% of military Americans do not qualify. Why don't they
So this is what you hear from the Pentagon all the time, Lawrence.
Okay.
Well, the reason we're not meeting our standards is because 77% of young people can't join. That's legit. I mean, we're too fat. We're not smart enough. You got medical records and other criminal records. 77% of 18-year-old kids can't join the military. That's a problem in and of itself. But that's a number that's more or less been the same for over a decade.
So this is not new.
This is not new. But it's a real reason. But when they tell you that is the reason, it's not the only reason, Lawrence.
So let's get into why.
Yes, that's the big thing. The big reason is they're observing the types of recruiting ads and efforts that this military is pushing. Some folks who've seen this network might remember this ad from the military. Watch this.
This is the story of a soldier who operates your nation's Patriot missile defense system.
Yeah, I saw this. This is disgusting.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom
And
from an
her
early
friend
age.
girls in her
I
sorority.
missed the recruitment effort.
Does this inspire you?
No.
All those young men in Kentucky and, you know, Ohio and all of them, they say, oh, yeah, that's the army I want to join. They miss the mark. It's just like a Bud Light moment, Lawrence. We don't want those frat boys. We want a different type of demo. Well, there are only so many ladies with two mommies that want to join the army. You need normal, masculine men that want, and women that want to join to fill our ranks and always have.
Real quickly, Pete, when did this sort of push start? How long has this been going on?
This started under Obama, but it's been on hyperspeed under Biden. I mean, Trump paused it and he said in our interview with him, I want to get rid of woke military. I believe he will, and recruiting will come back as a result of that. But Lawrence, there are other reasons why too. So this is not just the ads. You saw the vaccine mandate pushed out a lot of conservative Christian, folks that by principle.
And you got three tranny generals, for God's sake.
How that was handled. Then, of course, military families, Lawrence, we were talking about this before the segment.
Generation not to serve.
32% in 2023 of military families are recommending that the next generation serve. That's way down.
But why is that happening? Because I hear from SF guys, obviously my family who all served told me not to serve.
Yeah.
People that love the country but are encouraging their kids not to serve. Why is that happening?
Because they've seen the military change. They don't want their kids signing up to join an institution that doesn't reflect their values, that doesn't put meritocracy and lethality first. They're tinkering with social engineering. And as a result, the cream of the crop isn't rising. So the guys who have been there, done there, been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Guantanamo Bay, they say, I don't know if I want my 5 boys joining or not. That's why I end the book with a chapter that says the letter to my sons. Do I want you to serve or not? Get the book and you'll hear what I recommend. But it's a tough question.
The book. You should.
All right. So
In 2011, the Pentagon wrote 5 white papers, or was it 4? And they talked about the decline of the raw recruits. They said, we can make you physically strong, but we can't make you mentally tough because you haven't been imbued with the masculine principle. And that is a big problem. They talked about the fact that I think 13 years ago, it was 82% of Americans 20 and under of all ethnic groups were born out of wedlock, and it was 42% of Americans 35 and under were born out of wedlock, all ethnicities combined. And they said that takes the masculine element out of the whole process of child rearing. So there's not enough manliness in our recruits, and they're not mentally tough, even though we can make them very strong physically. And that's the problem.
let me throw this.
Say
Wait, one more thing. Can I say something? I was going to say just one quick thing. Also, the way the veterans are treated which is why you have people who serve don't encourage their sons or daughters to join the military, because you look and see how veterans are treated once they, retire or leave the military or get hurt and they cannot serve. If you're not treating your veterans properly and the way that they deserve, with the respect and the dignity and enough financial and medical resources, then why would somebody want to put their life on the line for
Well, let me give you something else too. I was friends with somebody who was base commandant at Millington Naval Air Station. He used to bring me out there, talk to the non-com, non-commissioned officers club and to the officers club. And I was out there one day visiting him, and he said, we were driving around the base, and he said, let's stop. And he got out and he walked over, and there was this Marine Corps DI hassling with some recruits. And we had looked at it and said, what the hell is that? What did he just hand the sergeant? He said, come on. He said, Judge, let's stop. I was still on the criminal bench. So we stopped. The driver stopped the car. We got out, walked over. The DI platoon sergeant saluted the captain, full post captain. And he said, Sergeant, let me see that card. So he handed it to me. I said, what the hell is this? He said, it's a stress card. When the recruits feel that they're under too much stress, they hand this card to the sergeant, and they're supposed to get a chance to cool out, literally, in the air-conditioned room so they can compose themselves because they are being stressed. So what the hell? So what is this? I said, do you think somebody's going to stop shooting at them so they can get de-stressed? He says, the point. This is just a new thing. Now, this was in the early 1990s, right after the Gulf situation.
Right.
And I said, I've never heard of anything like that. You've got a card, it's laminated, and they gave one out to all of them. So when they get freaked out, they can hand it to the sergeant, and everything stops, and they get to sit down, have coffee or a soft drink and a donut, and compose themselves before they come back out again. It's like the most absurd mess I'd ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm. I want to get to some of the super chats. And thank you guys for donating. That we said that earlier. Felix again, fight fascism, fascism infecting the USA in the 21st century. No world war, leave Ukraine, fight lawfare. It is fascism.
And some of these Ukrainian leaders that are over here meeting with Biden need to strip down to those wife beater T-shirts they had on 10 years ago and let us see their Nazi swastika tattoos.
Okay.
See, Putin is putting it out that something we don't hear. He's over there because a lot of Ukrainians asked him to be over there. They want to resume their position as the largest state in what was the Soviet Union, and before that, the Russian Empire under the Tsars. They want to be Russian again. Two, they're trying to deal with stopping the resurgence of Nazism. And three, they're trying to stop the U.S. from imposing the rainbow cult over there and destroying their social fabric like it's being destroyed over here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you again, Felix. President and Congress will have to enact it into statute. This enactment will get in 4, 5, 6 amendments. I guess you're talking about the fascism thing.
Yeah. But if you don't stop this mess, it's going to get out of control. The other thing is Z has decided that China must be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. That's 2.5 years from now. Our number one ace in the hole is a certain now surface to air missile that the Navy found can be used surface to surface. The Army has a version of them. Most of the warships have a full load, but there are fewer than 250 of these missiles left in reserve. The Army has a supply, so they basically have 3 to 4 days worth of ammunition. And you know how long it takes to build 125 of these missiles? It takes a whole 12 months. So how many damn years do you think it's going to be before they reserve this? So we can build 250 of these missiles in the next 2 years, maybe another 60 or 70 in the remaining months. So we have a nice total of 310 of these missiles, which are 310 shots, and that will be gone inside of a few days, and we're out of the unnecessary ammo. We're right off the Chinese coast.
All right.
Taiwan. It's a big mess, and we are not ready for it. And this jackass has kept the southern borders wide open, and we've been getting what? Hundreds of thousands of military-aged Chinese guys who have come across that border from China, indirectly or directly, and you don't think they're ready to go follow orders when they get the call. And then we've got people who are supporting the Houthis, who are supporting Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. And the reports out that this is the hottest combat the U.S. Navy has been in since World War II. The Houthis, who previously just had.
All right, I gotta move on. Come on, I gotta move on.
Well, this is the point. We are out of ammunition. We're supplying it to Ukraine and Israel. Why are we giving away our ammo stocks? And somebody's already said it's going to happen in 2.5 years.
Right.
And Pentagon is saying,
all right,
hell, it's a mess.
Let me go through these super chats. Come on. Little Rock Airport director was ended by ATF doing exactly that. No knock raid on a search warrant. Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Paula, for donating. Thank you, Felix. Again, impacts on the fascist lawfare. Felix, he is the #1 donator tonight. All of it is fascism. The Fascist Act, the judge stream again. Thank you. No, oh no, the Savias will get warm. Yeah. Thank you, Boosted 5.0 super sticker. Thank you so much. Felix, again, Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 by President Johnson put many people on the welfare plantation. Repealed this act. It also started a mass genocide of unborn people of color. Interesting.
Yeah, if the unborn people of color don't get themselves killed, postnatal abortions by ODing, drive-bys, or executions.
Well, let me say this. There are majority of white people on welfare. So, to only specify people of color, that is not true. That's inaccurate.
That's true too.
Yeah. So it's not a black thing. It just put a whole bunch of everyone, particularly white people, in that situation. And thank you, Phyllis, again. The War on Poverty Act of 1964 destroyed the people of color family, and he knew that what happened. To qualify for welfare, the man of the house must be absent. But again, majority of these people who were on welfare were white and are continuing to be white today.
Okay. When I first started practicing law 50 years ago, the #1 case we have in the Poverty Law Center where I work, which was Memphis and Shelby County Legal Services, and I had a community lawyer fellowship known as the Reginald Herbert Smith Community Lawyer Fellowship. It was out of Howard, even though I graduated from UCLA Law School. And what the problem was the check getting cut off because 1, 2, or 3 of the men who were fathers were trying to act as fathers, and they got the checks cut off. I don't know if Johnson anticipated that. From my reading of it and going through it when it was happening live at the time, and being out of college, undergrad at the time, it was going through live. What was happening was there was some good intentions, which are driven by a sentiment not unlike the drive for reparations when it came to the Black folk and their desire for it. And the language, the speeches, the demands for it are very similar to the demands for reparations. So when you start talking about it was a plot and a plan to destroy the Black family, I think it was an inadvertent thing that was the result, because the drive sounded like exactly like the one for reparations right now. So be careful what you criticize until you understand it. So it was something where some enterprising, lazy scofflaws who did not do any damn thing about working, didn't want a job, they took advantage of the situation, where instead of it being something that would finance people who found themselves down and out with children, it became a matter of having children to support yourself instead of finding yourself in a situation where you needed support for your children. In the deal, it needs reform, revisement, or outright abolition. People need jobs and they need education and they need vocational training so they can get the jobs or the education and the wisdom and discernment to create jobs for themselves.
All right.
Now,
all right, next one, Robert, thank you. He says, can anyone tell me the name of anyone or any organization who lobbied Barack Obama to support reparations while he was president? No one did. Felix, again, majority of people of color were Republicans because the Civil War was not even 100-year-old yet, and they remember the price paid to that war for freedom. It flipped after 1964 with the Welfare Act. No, Felix, you're wrong. Black people started voting Democrat under FDR.
Well, they started because of the job situation. Harry Truman did rightful by Black folk. He signed the 1981 executive order, which desegregated the armed services. What wound up happening...
Wait. Just slow down for 1 second, because I don't want a long...
I'm not going into it.
I just want to say this. Before
back up what you're saying.
Yeah, but before you can, let me just say this. Before 1964, majority of Black people were voting Democrat. Get that out your head that in 1964, because of MLK, no, it's just that it never changed. But you got to understand, Black people stopped voting Republican starting under FDR.
Well, they were still voting Republican everywhere else except the national elections, because FDR was the only one putting people back to work. Mm-hmm. But what really hit it was all of these Democratic Party elected sheriffs in the South who were jacking up folk trying to insist on their rights, the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King getting locked up. What wound up happening was John F. Kennedy, who was the Democratic Party candidate for president, called up some of his fellow Democrats, the Southern sheriffs, the Sheriff Bubba types, and say, hey, get this King guy a little slack. I'm the presidential candidate. And they did, because they were fellow Democrats. Mm-hmm. So what wound up happening is Nixon was given a chance to do something about it. He didn't. And he wound up losing the election to John F. Kennedy. Right. So that's when that whole thing got cemented, and the Democratic Party saw how successful it was. So starting in 1960, they promoted fundamental fairness in the governmental landscape, and that carried over, and now that's been co-opted and snatched from Black to the Rainbow Coalition. Mm-hmm. And it's getting put to use now, since people are acclimated to fundamental fairness for a half century worth of mandatory propaganda to say this has to be, which is not a bad thing, but it's no longer Black oriented, no longer that dark color oriented. It's the rainbow orientation. So, right. Yeah, they become Democratic Party stuff, and it's just like the old plantation. They want you to act like it.
Right. So when people talk about 21% of Black people voting for Trump, that is significant, because that percentage has never been that high since the 1940s, maybe.
Yeah, that's
probably back then. So you're talking about probably 100 years ago, 100 years ago, where you had that many, Black people voting Republican. So
the black people switched being Republican, started the downward trend when Teddy Roosevelt got elected as president. Teddy Roosevelt was an avowed racist, and his favorite uncle was a Confederate purchasing agent who refused to take the oath and come back and be repatriated. So over the years from the Civil War up until the early part of the 20th century, he would sneak back in to visit family members.
Mm-hmm.
So Roosevelt was a horrible racist, and he was Republican. That's when the whole thing started to slip.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Harlamel. Please talk about Obama help. Oh yeah, we talked about that already. Yes, we did that. Democrats don't like people, but they will use them for power and wealth. This is no different than when they owned people before, during, and after the Civil War. Okay.
No problem with that. Excellent observation.
I wanted to bring this up, even though they didn't send in a donation. He says, "Does Judge believe in Jesus? Why does
Your
that matter?"
damn business. Religion needs to be kept out of politics.
Exactly. That's the problem with people. You want to mix in religion with the state. I believe in separation of state and church.
I have good friends and associates who are Islamic, who are Hindu, who are Buddhist, who are Christian.
Don't name every religion.
And who are Jewish. I'll name that group. I'm acquainted with a lot of people in each one of those particular groups of philosophies.
Right. Thank you, Will, for becoming a member. Thank you so much. Getting ready for World War III that they started and continue to escalate. Democrats and rhinos are war pigs. Well, that's how politics always been.
Well, I think one of the problems with that is they really don't realize what they're getting into.
Yeah.
There's too many of them that weren't born until after Vietnam, when they did have a draft and what that meant.
Right. Thank you, Etai, for being a becoming a YouTube member here. He was the one who asked, "Do you sign photograph?"
I did, but I haven't had a stack of photographs to sign since I ran through what the studio had me with. What was it, 10, 11 years ago?
Okay. Felix, vets are disregarded like trash. All that money is going to illegals. Exactly. And that is a problem.
And it's a damn shame, too. That's an abomination.
Right. Thank you, Kat, for becoming a member. Appreciate it. You gifted a member. Thank you so much. Felix, not like that Jezebel Fanny. She loves that church platform. Yeah. All right.
Have those pulpit pimps that are violating the scriptures that they're supposed to be teaching by giving her that pulpit and letting her get away with all sorts of things that are wrong by those scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, my remarks about making money off of something, if you're saving souls, your business is not making money and driving Rolls Royces and Bentleys and Cadillacs and Lincolns and Mercedes. Your business is saving souls.
Mm-hmm.
And quit taking 20 and 25% tithes from your congregationers that can't afford it. Give some back. Your wife can hold off on her floor-length fur coat for another holiday season.
One more thing before we wrap up. And this show was slightly over time, and that's fine. That's fine. One more thing here. So Mayor Brandon Johnson blames Chicago's problems on systemic racism and announces a $500,000 study for reparation. He says racism is in the roads, pollution, violence, and more. No, you dumbass. It's the illegal problem that you have in Chicago.
Yeah. And who gets the $500,000? Which one of your cronies is getting it put in his back pocket for not doing shit except going through a few of the books and the literature and coming up with a half-ass report that leads nowhere.
Right.
Chicago still bears the scars of systemic racism and injustices that have been inflicted on our communities. We've seen them in highways that cut through Black neighborhoods and the industries, of course, that flock to these neighborhoods, often contributing to increased pollution and poor health outcomes. We see it in the trauma, of course, that is caused by gun violence. But we also saw it firsthand with the gross disinvestment that was intentional by previous administrations. And so beautiful neighborhoods like mine, the Austin neighborhood, has seen many health disparities, the lack of nutritious food, the lack of employment opportunity. The disinvestment in our communities have been intentional. And of course, that's why it's imperative that it is now the time to deliver good on reparations for people of Chicago, and particularly Black people, the city of Chicago.
Now, where are you going to get?
Because even as I...
Well, first of all, wait a minute. This, I did not, I wanted to, this.
Wait a minute. Isn't Fox the state's attorney general for the city? Isn't Beetlejuice, Lightfoot, the previous Black female mayor? Isn't your Negro ass the Black mayor? So who the hell is keeping it with the majority Black that you got on the city council? What the hell is stopping you? Or is it Beetlejuice went up there and put the money out trying to be cute to some Hispanic street gangs? She didn't know the difference between them and legitimate Hispanic community organizations. They used the money to finance the acquisition of the arms that were stolen from the IC rail yard boxcar break-in.
Well, my thing is, the state and the city of Chicago total have spent close to $1 billion on illegals, and you're only going to allocate $500,000 for a reparations study.
It's bullshit.
Exactly.
And people sit up there and are supposed to buy that bullshit.
Half a billion. Or it's actually, I believe it's 700 million so far. Yeah,
well, that's $750 million
in the state of Illinois and Chicago, going specifically to illegals.
It's a damn shame. And these Negro house colored sitting up there, the mammy boys and the butlers sitting up there trying to push for more. We need to have more people brought in, and we need to have more sanctuary cities. You need to prosecute every goddamn one of them for conspiracy to break American law and violating the federal statutes on harboring, securing, and aiding fugitives.
Let me finish playing the rest of this clip.
Stand here today as mayor. The legacy of slavery and the aftermath still echoes today. We saw it when previous administrations sold off public assets. We saw the harm when previous administrations closed Black schools and they shut down public housing, when they raided the pensions, these anti-Black, anti-business endeavors that have caused tremendous harm and pain. But it's a new day. In fact, we are standing on the shoulders of one of the great leaders of this city, Dorothy Tillman, who laid the foundation and the groundwork to ignite a movement for reparations. It was Dorothy Tillman that introduced me to Dr. Claude Anderson, Black labor, white wealth. And it is why my administration is committed to driving reparations home. And we're going to invest $500,000 into the study of restoration and reparations for the city of Chicago so that we can begin to move in the direction of complete liberation. And that's why, with the help and the support of the Black Caucus, we have a brand new Office of Reentry. Added $5 million to make sure that the formerly incarcerated find jobs and housing and counseling and the full support that they need.
May I stop this shit? May I put a reality check in? They're talking about what I made in 6 hours on a day doing my show. I could have donated 6 hours out of the 52 weeks of new production we did every year, and that would be more than the $500,000. So what the hell are they doing? Not a damn thing.
But guess what? The illegals in Chicago alone got 300 million.
Damn shit.
300 million, despite a city of Chicago website dedicated to tracking how nearly $300 million was spent on the migrant crisis. Many aspects of the migrant crisis remain shrouded in secrecy, most notably how migrant shelter sites are selected and how much building owners are profiting off the migrant crisis. 300 million. That's in Chicago. That's not the money that the state was also allocated, which was over $200 million. So you added, let's say, another 200, that's 500 million. That's $500 million for illegals. And you mean to tell me that you sit up here on a Juneteenth celebration event to say that you're only going to allocate $500,000 for a fucking study? And that's supposed to help Black men with jobs when they come home from prison?
And it sounds like there may be 30 people in the audience.
And those 30 coon ass people, what do you call it? Biscuit eating ass coons.
I don't get the reference to butter biscuits. That sounds too damn feminine to me. Let's be harsh about it. Some sycophant Negroes sitting out there glad they can wag their tails for massa when some kibbles and bits are being promised.
Right.
And this bootlicking Negro, this house Negro, it's ridiculous.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about Juneteenth, and that's why, yeah, you always say you don't celebrate it. You don't celebrate it. It's just a day off for not just Black people, but for everyone. But what are the real tangibles? What are the public policies aside from a check? What are the public policies that you advocated for where you live at? What are the public policies that Black Americans are advocating for on a national level? You have a voting bloc in Congress. It's called the Congressional Black Caucus, and all of them don't do shit for Black people. They do things for all of America.
Not one damn thing for Black folk or anybody else in the United States of America.
Right.
Except it gets a lot of the cronies, a lot of side money, and a lot under the table. And the question is, who's getting the $500,000 and how little work are they going to have to do to get it? So $500,000 is the salary.
That is an insult to the ancestors.
Yeah, it is.
It is. That's an insult to the ancestors. And you gave in Chicago alone over 300 million to fence jumpers, to river swimmers.
And we can insult them because they broke the law and they haven't been brought to justice. And don't forget about the multiple hundred thousands of military-age Chinese who came across the border. Nobody checked their baggage, and they brought military-grade explosives that they've already planted over the last 3 years. And when they get the signal in 2027, they'll detonate the explosives and they'll make 911 look like chicken play.
So I put a poll in the chat. It says, who are you voting for? Trump, Couch, or Biden? 69% said Trump, 26% said Couch, 4% said Biden. Wait, let me finish. 26% said Couch, 4% said Biden, a total of 525 votes.
I want the couch.
Your couch that you sit on, meaning you're not going to vote.
Oh, okay.
All you 26%, and I'm gonna add the 4%. So that all
get
you
up off your lazy ass and go vote, because if you don't, you're giving it away to the goddamn blue buzzards.
Right. So that 30%, you're full of shit. And that is
you are full of shit. Get up off your ass and vote.
That is why the illegals had have and continue to receive over $1 billion in financial assistance here in America. Because you want to
I bet they smoke legal reefer. I'm gonna have me a joint, man. I ain't voting, man. You ain't nothing but race, man. Politics is evil, man. Yeah, get up off your lazy ass and go vote.
Right.
Because you ain't gonna get out and do something else that might be the equivalent. So quit fooling yourself.
You sit on a couch and it's like, and you know who's saying that? Black Americans. They're the ones starting that. I'm voting the couch.
Yeah, well, goddamn it. That's why you ain't shit now. You ain't getting shit. And you got pipe dreams about you gonna win the goddamn lottery called reparations, and it ain't gonna happen because you ain't gonna do shit if you don't get it.
So this was a black show today. We don't always do quote unquote black. And I say black show, we talk about Juneteenth, we talk about reparations, Black Americans voting for Trump, yada yada. Black
goddamn wicked ass down in Georgia, an ignorant judge, who by the way is a general in the United States Army Reserve with a career in JAG.
Judge
Glanville get it because in civilian stuff, if you don't know how to handle your courtroom, you get talked back to. And there's a way about that is appropriate and a way that's inappropriate. And you got to keep charge of your courtroom and keep it on track.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not.
Felix,
let that female acolyte of Mammy Fanny get away with too damn much. And then he's trying to compensate by coming down on the defense. It's not the military where you can order somebody to tell you who reveals such things. There's a constitution that applies outside of the military environment.
Right.
And you have to deal with due process, and you need, as a matter of ethics, Judge, to disclose what the hell you did.
Felix, thank you again. He says private jet preachers are evil. Yes, they are. It's tough running a small business in Joe Biden's economy, but this live on a Monday was a good one. Thank you, Boosted 5.0. Thank you so much. Yeah, because I said that, you know what, I'm not going to be like, don't say that. I'm not going to like constantly trying to censor you.
They're doing it already.
Yeah, because they're doing it in other ways. So I'm not going to tell you, don't say this, don't say that, you know. But anyway, listen. If you guys are doing anything on Juneteenth, great. Enjoy your day off. Every American, right? But know the history behind it. And you know, Black Americans, if you want to make something happen, get your ass off the couch and go outside and make it happen.
Screw Juneteenth. It's my granddaughter's birthday, the 19th of June. I'm going to celebrate that. Damn, some Negroes being a year and a half late finding out they weren't slaves anymore. They should have risen in insurrection in the first place. Do you know the story behind, screw whatever date it was, June 19th, whether it was 1866 or 65. The captain of the U.S. Navy warship, when they docked in Galveston Harbor, observed the Negroes working on the wharfs being beaten with whips and sticks. And he sent his second in command down there to see what's going on. And the second command came up and said, Captain, they still think they're slaves. So the captain had his secretary dictate some letters that he sent some Marines off to read in various places in Texas and take to some print shops and get some flyers printed up saying, Negroes, you're free. And the damn shame about it is some black cavalry troopers who were from Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee, and Memphis, were sent by General Grierson, who became the commander of the 10th Cavalry Buffalo Soldiers, down to Texas to spread the word that black folk, you're free. And the Negroes wouldn't believe their own people and stayed slaves. The damn shame.
The celebration of black ignorance.
Yeah, we celebrate Negro ignorance.
I don't know if you caught it because Thank you. I love my moderators. Katelia, she says happy birthday to the judge's granddaughter.
She's
And my other,
beautiful, by the way.
yeah, and Southern Belle, happy birthday, grandbaby. Yeah. Celebrate Judge Joe Brown's granddaughter's birthday. How old is she? 6?
6.
Yeah, great age. Read
There's
all
a
the paperwork.
grandson
Dana,
on the
is
way
in here.
too.
What paperwork? What paperwork? What paperwork you talking about, honey? What paperwork? What paperwork? I ain't reading
And
that.
I think my son's having a son too who's on the way. So that's a grandson on the way.
Oh, okay. How old is? Oh, she's turning 6.
Mm-hmm. Big sister.
Well, honey, we gonna have to talk about your estate allocations when you go to Valhalla. So because I already told you how I feel about your offspring. Anyway, thank you, Judge. First of all,
go there.
Yeah. Thank you to Mr. Mario Williams and Ellie Pink coming on as always, bringing the facts and shedding light on the corruption that's going on in Fulton County. Their websites information will be in a description, so go and follow them and support them. And listen, if you in Georgia, honey, you need a good lawyer, you better call Mr. Williams.
Or that other brother that got locked up because he wouldn't violate.
Yeah, Brian Still, honey. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Like these chicken shit little boys running around woofing and ain't done shit.
Right.
My somebody is proven. We had a good one on today. He's been in the trenches fighting away. And the other one that got locked up for 20 days, you ain't shit as a defense lawyer if you ain't been locked up for contempt at least once in your career.
Mm-hmm. Felix, thank you. Happy birthday, Judge grandbaby. My baby girl turned 10 today. Happy birthday to her. Yeah. All right. Say goodnight, Judge.
Yeah, I got motivated to go do some stuff by the ignorance that I am being exposed to. It's embarrassing. 77 years on this planet Earth, and 50 some years ago, we had hope, and I've seen it evaporate, to deal with tomorrow being something that is coming like a monster with a lot of promise, to some bullshit that glorifies dysfunction, ineptitude, cowardice, unmanliness, and the lack of any national heroes of any substance except one or two. Mm-hmm. And I'm very embarrassed by that. People don't even understand what it is to step up and be a man. Now, there are a lot of folk that do that on the local level, the quiet level, but we don't have anybody on the national level that's getting pushed for that. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't call being an academic a hero. I don't call being a celebrity a hero. I don't call being an athlete a hero. I don't call being a rap star, an entertainer a hero. You could be all of the above, but you got to put it on the line and take risk, and you put something out there that you stand to lose that is valuable to you by making a stand.
One more thing.
You ain't shit.
One more thing, you soldier. So I'm not reading all the paperwork that Brian Still filed. The judge broke down the fucking paperwork.
Why the hell do you, look, I've been doing this longer than any son of a bitch handling this shit. And I'm trying to give you a synthesis. So you want a breakdown of something you wouldn't even understand.
But you want the gossipy reading line for line like other content creators that's on YouTube. They're reading line for line and they make it seem like it's like a gossip type thing. And they're not legal experts. And that is the difference between them and us here, particularly the judge. We're not going to sit through somebody's fucking motion page from page. You had an attorney, Mario Williams, up here talking about it. He talked about it briefly, broke it down. The judge broke it down. before I can even go in details about, with what I did pull up, he already knew this is the procedure. This is what's in it. This is what's going to happen. These are his options. So no, we don't got to go down word for word, like read all the fucking paperwork.
Like, in other words, arguing to a jury as a defense lawyer or prosecutor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there's a lot of technical jargon and language that you're going to hear. What the devil does that mean? All of this nice, nasty language, it translates this way. Did Jamal go upside Little Willie's head and do a ooh-wee on him? That's what we're here for.
Right.
And see, I just broke it down. You don't have to go take 10 minutes. See, I can do stuff briefly from time to time, and I try to explain it to you because you're not going to get it.
Right.
A lot of background.
So like, what is if he read through all the lines for what? Like, this is not the lead attorney show here. The lead attorney goes through shit just to fill up airtime. So
and half of them don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right. The difference is with Judge Joe Brown, he's already telling you what's in the paperwork because he done filed and seen thousands of motions. And he's going to tell you the fucking outcome. Now, this person here,
probable likelihood of
probably like the different options of outcome. Dana, did you know Judge Glanville is a Mason and an Alpha? And this is what I mean with gossipy commentary.
What?
Dana, did you know Judge Glanville is a Mason and an Alpha? What does that have to do with anything?
What the hell does that have to do with a damn thing?
But that's what I mean, that they want gossipy commentary. We don't do that here.
I'm an Alpha too, and I'm a Mason, and I know we have assholes who belong to both organizations and some very wise and good people too.
Right. So it has nothing to just.
So what does that have to do, with shit?
Right, nothing. But people, we talked about this before, Judge. People talk in gossip type of tone. And
it ain't like it used to be, where there really were burning sands and you had to go through a lot of pain, trial, and travail. Now you can't look at a son of a bitch without one of them threatening to sue the organization. So you get these pussies that get read in.
Right.
And by the way, for anybody out there who belongs to one of these fraternities, here's the purpose behind the Black Greek organizations. 120 years ago, the purpose was to be a revolutionary organization fighting American apartheid known as segregation. Your ass was tested hard, beat on, brutalized during pledging. And you know why? It's to test you to see if you could be trusted for information. So if Sheriff Bubba got your ass, you wouldn't tell on everybody when he started torturing you. Now they've forgotten about that. In Masonry, is about 5,000 damn years old, and it ain't got nothing to do with superstition or anything else. It's taking a peasant and showing him how to build bricks, how to lay bricks, how to cut stone, how to lay stone, how to lay out a line, how to deal with designing large-scale architectural stuff. And that's what it's about. And in the meanwhile, building good character. It ain't got nothing to do with religion or lack thereof. It was in China, Egypt, Mesopotamia. It was all over the known world at the time, except maybe in heathen Europe. And then it spread to Europe in the Middle Ages. So it ain't nothing new.
Right. And it's no,
it ain't a hocus pocus thing. And if anybody's talking all of this, what is it the hell they say now? Illuminati, that's bullshit. That's a goddamn movie with Tom Hanks. So get the fuck over it.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you're in a frat, don't punk out and be one of these little swish queens. Act like a goddamn man, make a stand, because there are a whole lot of frat brothers in all four. Alphas, Kappas, Omegas, and Sigmas, and then the four sororities that you had out there who put it on the line over the last 120 years trying to get black folk free, and America free for that matter.
I thought it was 9, the Divine 9.
What divine 9? There was 8. That Johnny come lately bullshit, some just jumped up about 10, 15 years ago for some wannabes. There are only 8. 4 sororities, 4 fraternities. And they have gone downhill because they're social clubs rather than revolutionary organizations designed to implement full change in this system. Thurgood Marshall, Martin Luther King. You can go down the laundry list and you find that damn near everybody who was putting it on the line over the last 100 years was in some frat or the other. And now you find out they don't have to pledge hard. I give you an example. Emmett Till got killed. They called up 2 brothers, Russell Sugarman and A.W. Willis. They practiced law together. They were alphas. They brought in another brother named Withers, who was a photographer. He took 6 rolls of film of Till's body down in Mississippi. He didn't develop them. He gave the undeveloped film half to Sugarman, half to Willis. They were supposed to split up. A lot of local folk were going to get them out of the state because the Klan and the White Citizens Council was going to catch them and kill them. They were to get to Illinois, take the film to a Walgreens, get it developed, and to the governor of Illinois. Well, A.W. got captured by a sheriff, and he told me out of his own mouth how he got tortured for hours, but it was nothing compared to what he went through crossing the sands. So he was able to survive it, and playing like he was half dead, he managed to escape, and he got to Illinois where he met up with Russell. And they got the film developed. They got it to the governor of Illinois, who demanded Till's body back. And Mrs. Till, whom I met 30-some years ago, also with the designated family biographer, who has written, her name is Dr. Clenora Hudson Weems, W-E-E-M-S, who put Till on the map. And they have some very interesting stories about it. Emmett Till's mother is now deceased, so is his stepfather, but I met both of them 30 years ago, and we had extensive conversation over the years. Great people. She had the fortitude not to get Till's body embalmed, so it started stinking like hell in the hot July sun, and they had buckets for people to throw up in from the foulness of the whole situation, and she wanted them to see the horror of the thing, so they got motivated to do something about their civil rights instead of sitting on their ass and being complacent.
Right.
And those are her exact words about it.
Right. Well, listen, this was a really great show tonight, and it was a little bit of overtime, which is fine. Thursday is going to be another great show. And so listen, you're actually going to be on Sabby Sab's show tomorrow as a guest.
Whose show? Oh, that's during the day. I forgot that.
That's during the day. And then if you're up to it, of course, we do the X Space Tuesday.
I'll be up to it. God damn it. People in the cold, freezing snow, mud, muck, 100-degree temperature with slimy shit crawling all over the place, trying to deal with freedom. I can keep my ass up and keep talking. It's easy enough.
And so we'll be back here on YouTube Thursday. You can catch us on X Space tomorrow. That's at Judge Joe Brown TV, at Judge Joe Brown TV. And I'm at The Real Dana #7 on X. And we will see you back on YouTube. Well, you'll see me by myself Wednesday. You'll see the judge on YouTube on Thursday. So everybody.
By the way, my conclusion, today I don't give a damn. Get your shit together and act like you're men and women.
Right.
White, black, brown, red, yellow, I don't care. It's all humanity. Get it together. We have some common enemies.
And with that, good night. Good night, Judge.